Hey, that's it. The little blue bar is there to say we are live. Today is Tuesday, the 6th of November, 2018. Our Patricia's trying to get on. She's got a computer issue. And hopefully Flat Earth Dude is joining us in a little bit. But special guest, Josh, authentic content.
Hey, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's really nice. I actually realised I think we've got a tiny weeny time delay, so I'll remember that.
Yeah.
Anyway, you said just as we were going live, because obviously I've just been talking to Josh, that you know, the conversation with someone, but you might have met your match with me.
Okay. Well, hey, that's great because, when you talk to people in public, they're not really too comfortable talking about topics like this because they have this innate nature about them where they have to self-police. That's why when you're, 5, 6 years old, you steal something, you feel bad, and it's the first time that you've ever been caught, and you're like, why do I feel bad? And you have this policing system. So, a lot of times when I talk to people out in public, they say, "Oh, are you filming me?" Like, are you, there's a law against you filming. And I'm just like, there's not, because people, they feel like if they're being filmed, then that can be shared, and then everybody sees it, like their heart is revealed to everybody. And, I think that's why people are more comfortable, being a keyboard warrior on YouTube or commenting. They don't get into conversations like this. And the most that they do is they have, a picture on Facebook so that other people can know who they are. But, controversial topics like this are something that we can talk about.
Just to explain to people, when you said that, right, that's because it would make your day if you could go out with John Smith, Roxanne.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, so we were talking about that in back chat, where I'm just so encouraged by their dedication out there, and to be able to spend a whole day with Horry and Roxanne and Trinity 4, man, we would kill it. We would send something out in the ether that just, it'd be unbelievable. And we really need that here in America. And unfortunately, it's not going to start today. But a lot of people have that faith that it does, like their vote counts. And it's like, no, you are the vote. You have to get out and do something. You're like, you have to be the change that you want to see. Very cliche, but politicians are not going to do it. And if you think that this election is going to change what's happened in the last 18 years, come on.
Very nicely put. I like that, Josh.
Yeah, I wish it was nice here later on in the year where there could be activism done in Minnesota at the election booth. But maybe we have to wait till 2020 where we have more people with confidence to talk about this stuff in public.
To explain to people who maybe don't know who you are, but they probably do, what do you do? What's the thing you do in Flat Earth? Because that then explains why you're saying what you're saying.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I run a YouTube channel. It's called Authentic Intent, and I'm kind of the official ambassador of Flat Earth in Minnesota. I have almost 230 hours of activism out on the streets, University of Minnesota, all my stadiums where all the major sports are played, I've done activism at, and the state capitol. So I just wanted to show people themselves. I wanted to show human beings genuine, authentic reactions to topics like controversial subjects, but particularly Flat Earth, because, it doesn't even have to be about Flat Earth. It can be about what you can and can't say out in public, and how far can your First Amendment right go? Because clearly we've seen how far it can go in a privatized, entity like YouTube.
Yeah. How are you finding it then? Do you find that there are, like, the majority don't even know what flat Earth is? Do you find that they know what it is and they fight it, or do you find that more people are waking up or say, "Yeah, I know"? Which way is it going out on the streets for you?
Well, it's starting to skew for sure. I actually think that students, particularly, are coming out and maybe hoping that they run across a flat Earth activist so that they can stump them. I think it's a game for a lot of college students who are still indoctrinated, even if they have to pay for their college, just to get through. I think it's a challenging sport for a lot of people right now that are aware of flat Earth and are still fighting against it. But I have definitely seen it skew towards people know about it. They are genuinely interested and curious, and I think to have somebody in public, okay, off of social networks, Facebook, all of that, Twitter. I mean, we have to show these people how important this topic is, and if we do it in public, I think that that's really where we'll be at. But still, a lot of people don't know about it, to be honest with you.
You pick stadiums, don't you, to go to? I see.
You got to meet people where they're at, and clearly, you're not going to find a lot of productive conversations there, with the assumption that they're drinking $10 mid golden lights, But I have had some fairly stimulating conversations there. And really, what that was just to gauge is the different types of people that are out there. Because, a lot of people are business people, during the work week. But on Sunday, when the Vikings play, they dress up in all purple and put the Ragnar Vikings mascot suit on. And they just go after it on Sundays. But then they come in on Monday and they got a three-piece suit on. So everybody has to be woken up to flat Earth.
Yeah, I was watching one of the videos of yours where this young girl comes along, and she was actually really interested in it, but her friends were calling her and she had to go. And you actually got onto the bit about, well, haven't you seen the chem? Because she actually understood that things were wrong and that we were on a flat plane. And then you said, have you seen the chemtrails? And you told her what's in them and that they're making people ill. And that little face, she went, oh, really? Because there was another problem now, because she was young. But then her friends called. You remember that one? It was a few weeks ago, I think.
It's a genuine response. And I saw her, she was walking about an hour prior to that with her friends. So they had come out of the stadium or wherever they were, and they came back, and then that's when she came up and talked to me. So that's the types of people that you want. Like, Flat Earth definitely reeled her in. It's not me. I mean, I'm just the messenger. And this message has to get out. So,
aren't you, Josh? You know your stuff quite well.
Thank you. We have it's truth, right? I mean, let's be real here. It's truth. Kill them with water. Like you throw water at them and they can't handle it. And after that, you go into all the other observations that we can do here in this community. But it's really water. And when you know that truth out there, there's nothing that can stop you. It's like something comes over you, for sure. Yeah.
So how long have you been a flat earther then?
About later, like in a couple months, it'll be a full 3 years. I think the conference kind of is gonna shoot off the 3-year anniversary for me.
I do see that there was this big wake up, like the end of 2015, 2016, and we're in the same wave. I'm not sure if so many people are waking up now. They still are, but I think the big one happened then. When you talk to people, most people will say end of 2015 or 2016. Not everybody, okay, everybody, I know that, but a lot of people.
It's quality right now. We have a lot of juniors and seniors in this community, and we need to see them kind of step up and be leaders in this. We have to have some leaders. We have to have some example setters for the young people that are just coming up to it. We have a long ways to go.
Yes, Josh, we do. Very nice young man like you saying such things. Can I just say, our Patricia has got on. Yay!
Hey, Patricia. Well, I'm gonna.
Hiya.
Hello, my darling.
Sorry, I'm a bit
Good to
late.
see you. Oh, you're fine.
You got on okay then?
Yeah, just Messenger. It wouldn't let me load messages up, so that's why I said email me. So yeah.
Anyway, John,
Alright,
this is the other person that you've been emailing.
Oh, hey, good to finally meet you, Patricia.
and you too. I'm like, I'm so
Yeah.
excited. I can't wait. And then I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't get on. I can't get on.
Yeah, that would be a bummer, but good to
It's
see you
all
here. Yeah.
She's made
And
it.
you.
She's made it. Yeah. Thank you, Patricia. Patricia, as you're here,
Yeah.
got any questions you want to ask Josh?
You know me, I don't like asking questions, but no, I mean, I'm just fascinated by the activism and stuff that you do, and you know, there's the way you broach people and that. So it's all good.
Well, you know, I had some good examples. Harry and Dell are, you know, their own men, and it's good that they have such uniqueness and they deliver the message in their own way. You take what you don't like, you throw it out, and you keep what's good, and there's a lot of good there. And I got full quite a bit because they carry a lot of knowledge, and there's other people in this community now that are catching on, and it's good to see that, you know, America is getting into it. We have to have diversity, and we have to have people who have different ways to present this message, because the more differences that we have here, the more people we're going to reach. Because one person that Harry can talk to, I'm going to lose my patience with them. You know, there were a couple of people at Oxford when they were there. I was getting impatient, you know, like, and people know the conversations that I've had with people. You know, I've had 30, 40-minute conversations with people where they're like, I get comments in the comment section, I would have left that guy. Like, I can't believe you're so patient with this person. But hey, you know what? You'll talk to somebody for 20 minutes and I'll be like, okay, I'm done. And you walk away. You know, clearly we need an eye, we need an ear, we need a left arm, and we need a toenail, you know? So we need all parts of the body to kind of work fluidly together. And it all starts with distilled water, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just the fact that spinning ball. But yeah, it's hard to, because especially if you're passionate about things, you're like, yeah, I ain't got that patience for people like, just get it. You know, it's just a natural thing. Your senses, follow your senses, and so I suppose it can be a bit, what's the word? I'm trying to think. Hard to sort of get through to people, but that, you know, just the fact that you're telling them these things, that they'll go home, because they don't like to face someone and go, oh yeah, you're right, you know. They'll go home and they'll probably look it up, and you know, so you're planting the seeds, aren't you, really, as well.
Yeah, because I probably, the first time I saw the words and that, I just thought, oh no, not something else. And it took me a month or two, but then once I actually started looking at it, that's it, straight away. I was telling Josh before we came on.
Yeah, that's totally, I agree. Before this, the disclosure community, black goo, blue avians, no forests on flat earth, Mandela, gematria, rainbow bodies, veganism, 5G. I mean, come on, like before flat earth, like that's stuff that I was learning. And when I was learning this stuff, it was very fascinating. Like, wow, like there is a disclosure going on, like none of anybody's business. And then I kept going back to flat earth. I don't know why, but flat earth is just, it's the combination as of right now.
Yes, I know what Josh, I understand. When I say flat earth, It's everything. You say it to someone else who wants to fight it. What you mean? The piece of land's flat? You're trying to say, it isn't just about the land. It's about everything.
It's about everything. It's about and it's about more land. It's about more water, more resources. Every single person on this earth right now could have their own continent, and they're withholding that from us. You know, now we're the people on the Village movie where we know that we're being kept in, and we know about the red, orange, cloaked people out in the forest now, and we're trying to wake the people up in the village of those people that are withholding us in because we need more people.
Yes. Instead, they're just sort of squishing it into the towns, aren't they? You know, so there's billions of miles in America no one lives on, and they've got us squished into the towns.
Yeah, and they're coming up with super cities. You know, they're going to start building massive cities and malls underground with artificial suns and artificial moons. You know, if China can allegedly put a moon up in the sky and illuminate their night sky, what else are they capable of doing? And where are they testing this technology? Like, how do you test that? Then you just throw a 2,000 mile diameter illuminated light bulb up in the sky. How does it stay up there? Like, what's up with gravity? Hi.
I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks. Oh, I got this. Yeah. Hey, yeah, you're welcome.
You okay there, Joe?
Cheers. You know, so with Flat Earth, we're tip of the beak. We are on the front lines. We know everything. We're know-it-alls. And every single Flat Earther has a 101 and everything.
You have to learn much more about the globe to tell the globe people how wrong the globe is as well. You know what I mean? So you're learning because none of us probably bothered much at school or only learnt bits. And then you're going back with that and the new stuff. Oh, it's all right. I finished now, Josh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm in a public facility and somebody complimented me. You know, but we all flat earthers, we're 101 in chemtrails. You know, you talk to a flat earther, they'll be able to tell you what's in chemtrails. You know, they'll be able to talk about the difference between what a contrail and a chemtrail is, and possibly even the motives behind it. You know, you talk about 5G, you talk about distilled water, mud fossils. You know, we have so many people out there in this community, like Jay Dreamers, who talks about it.
Yeah,
okay.
It covers everything, doesn't it? History, nature, the lives, medicine, education. It goes on.
Yeah, and to bring up education, these kids growing up need to be educated properly, and it's not against the law to withhold truth in public schools. And that's why a lot of your people are going to private schools. Like, I asked some of these students who are out when I'm, you know, speaking to them, I'll say, do you really think that celebrities and politicians send their kids to public schools? Of course not, because they're taught certain things about this reality that is withheld from the public school system. And when you add fluoride and prison food to the school system, prison food, what are you going to get? You're going to get a bunch of dumbed down kids. I mean, I'm almost bored with this topic at the sense of elevate the difficulty. You know, when you play a video game, you always want to play it on the most difficult level. Flat earthers are becoming a more difficult opponent. So is the establishment going to continue to allow flat earth to, you know, promenade where we can join up and actually do something about what's going on? Or are they going to do something beforehand? Because they have a lot of sheep on their side. And they have a lot of people that are like an invasion of the body snatchers who will call out their own neighbor if they're a flat earther, and they'll go to jail.
I think that's the saddest bit, isn't it? Because I say it's the living dead out there.
They're zombies. You know, there's no doubt why zombie movies are so popular and prevalent right now. The Walking Dead is probably the top 3 most popular TV shows in America right now. You know, so next to football, I would be almost bored with the public if I were the establishment, because they're so easily malleable. I mean, they're going out to vote today, for crying out loud. Give me a break.
Yes, well, I used to think my vote made a difference, but now I'm never voting again.
Last time I vote was with Al Gore and George Bush in the hanging Chads, and then a year later with 9/11. And it's almost like they're blatantly screwing up. You know, it's like they have to tell on themselves or something. And so, you know, when you continue to see this, and then you get into, if you're interested in gematria, you see how numbers and words and stuff are being played out constantly. You know, it gets to be more fascinating, because then you start to speak a different language and understand a different language. Even though I'm not the best, I'm probably as good at gematria as I am Thai, but it's still, you know, like I said, I've always come back to flat Earth, even though there are wonderful topics out there.
Can I just say one thing though, Josh? Go
Yeah.
back 10 years ago. One of my, well, it might be a bit longer than that now. One of my favourite programmes, people in the chat room might know this, was it Prisoner Cell Block H? I watched the whole thing twice. It was an Australian women's prison.
Oh, wow.
You know, soap opera thing. And not exactly a soap opera, but, you know, it was on an episode every week. And then you've got all the soap operas, and you've got like Jeremy Kyle here, which is a bit like Jerry Springer, not quite like Jerry Springer, but the same sort of thing. You know, people's relationships breaking down, and you know, I hadn't even thought it. I used to love watching Jerry Springer, and now you think, oh yeah, but all he's there for is to tell us how bad everything is, and that no one can stay together. Everybody's cheating. Nobody knows if they're the dad or not. It just goes on the list of things. That's all. My daughter loves watching it. I did. I can't have a go at her because I did. But then you realise what this all means. Part of the programme, part of the breaking everything up, making everybody feel useless, etc., 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 etc.
Well, and then it goes to, it could all be scripted. You know, so none of it could even be real. They could all be actors. And when you come across a couple of crisis actors, like I have when I've been out in public, it kind of blows your mind, because they're really changing people's opinions about reality. And when you know that that reality is all deception, you look at, you know, some of these events that happen in worship centers, and you just kind of scratch your head when you're at this kind of, you know, awareness. You're on this frequency that's kind of resonating with the rest of the earth, and you're trying to get other people who aren't as up to speed on your same frequency, because if you're not, all you hear is static.
I know, but the thing is, you know, like I was saying, I used to go shopping, but now if I go shopping, I just want to go to the shops I need to go, and then I'm going, there's a chemtrail, there's where the sun is, the moon, oh, it's getting dark, there's the stars, there's the light. I'm looking at all these other things. Nothing is the same anymore. I was saying, when we were younger, maybe everything was wonderful because we were innocent, but we're not innocent anymore. I mean, we sort of just, yeah. And then I said, I just can't believe, in a sense, how that everything is so wrong, and it's like we're in the wrong place. It's like everything's back to front, and wow, what a place we're living in. It's not
Well,
just
that's where activism comes in, because, you know, most third and fourth graders, they're not going to have a concept of it ever crossing their mind that Santa Claus and the tooth fairy don't exist. You know, so they're but with a bunch of yes men. They're with a bunch of people that all kind of agree with them, and they're all kind of there with, you know, their own purpose in mind, but they're all together and they feel pretty like-minded. But then you have a junior high student come in there on a dare by his friends and say, hey, everybody, Santa Claus doesn't exist. Your parents are Santa Claus. And then he shuts the door. Well, now you have spread truth out through like all those 30 kids, and at least half of them are going to question the reality. And some are going to go into depression, and others are going to get over it.
Here,
You know, but
excuse me, Josh. Josh,
yeah,
just to say, quite a dude joined us. Quite a dude.
Hey,
what up, dude?
what up? Sorry I'm late. I got a big thing going on out here today. We're interviewing quantum physicist on
Awesome.
Poncho Peach channel.
Awesome.
And so I'm heading over there right now, actually.
Yes, and Josh, if you don't know who Flat Earth Dude is, he's an activist just like you.
Yeah, we've chatted, gone back and forth a couple of times.
Yeah, man.
Oh, cool. You know each other. That's perfect.
Well, we met in the chat, and I've certainly commented on a few of your videos.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. You guys are doing really good out there, and I wish we had 365 days of warm weather here.
It would be great. You know, we get 300 days anyway, but it's a different approach. I mean, Hollywood is so different than what you're doing out at the lake and outside the ball games, things like that. You get a lot of people yelling at you, calling you names and things, and we don't get any of that.
Guys. It's great.
We get a lot of people coming up saying, "Yeah, I'm a flat earther." But
yeah, right on. That's great.
We're all doing something, man. I'm trying to do something. You're doing something. They had a pretty amazing the Globe Light tour over there in the UK. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was.
Great production, great video. Audio was really good. Information was great. People were amazing. We have to do a US tour like that, man.
We really do, and I think we're kind of in the works on something like that.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, let me know, man. I want to if I can help, like, you know, from home base here or anything in LA. I'd be happy to help out if I can, you know, run a computer or emails or whatever.
Yeah, well, if you contact David Gessner from flatearth101.com, he would be able to better inform you also.
Hopefully they're sending you on the tour.
Well, if they come through Midwest, I definitely want to hop on board. It would be great to be shoulder to shoulder with people who are really ready to take that next step and taking it offline off of these social platforms. So, because they continue to want to hide behind privacy. It's like going into the Mall of America. You know, when you go into the Mall of America, they feel like they have some pretty strong ground to say that your First Amendment right doesn't matter here.
No,
and all that the mall is doing is it's protecting the public from the elements, because I'd be able to speak freely if I were in a park.
Right.
So how is it that they can call a mall private and it's just protecting people from the elements? I mean, come on, let's be real here. That's what it's doing.
Yeah. I've never thought of it like that, but it makes perfect sense. And they can isolate themselves and isolate people from really good information.
They don't want you talking to the max, do they? They don't want you talking to many people. That's what it's about.
Right.
Right. It's about letting people know. It's about letting people hear. They have to hear it. If they can't hear it, they'll never know.
Exactly. And, you know, and some of the things they hear or read are so skewed in the ridiculous category. And, you know, they mock and make fun. And, you know, the information gets out very little bit, but it makes any of the real solid information we're discovering and talking about and testing, you know, makes that insignificant. And I really, that's one thing that bothers me. And that's kind of what I'm doing here to try to help, you know, refine that information that does get out in the mainstream, that it's a little bit better. I don't know if you saw the anthropologist piece yesterday.
No. Man, I've been all over the place.
Right, been busy. Basically, it was an article in the New Yorker. This guy wrote, and the anthropologist took it apart, line by line, piece by piece, and pointed out all the inconsistencies, you know, really in our favor and the flat Earth favor, and saying how this is where they twist things, and it's really a great piece. It's only about 35 minutes long. I think Glowbusters and Karen B, they both have it on their channel, so you guys check that out.
Well, yeah, I'll check it out. I haven't checked it out. I'm sure there's people out there who haven't seen it. There's so much going on out there right now.
Exactly. You know, videos are coming out every minute, so it's impossible to keep up. But it's a really great piece, and this is a PhD doing it for us, man. And he's giving us a really fair shake, and he's bringing real information to the table. And I like that. So,
Flat Earth. Guess where Josh is going next week?
To the conference.
Yeah.
Yay! So excited.
You should be, man. You're gonna be like busting out of your seams, man.
I thank you guys so much for just all the help and support. You know, it's great.
That's fantastic, man. I'll be watching from Hawaii. I'll be watching.
Excellent.
Tuning in, man.
Excellent.
So who are you looking forward to meeting then, Josh?
Everybody. I really can't pick any one person out. I mean, there's people that I would like to have there, you know, that aren't going.
Right.
But, you know, there's a lot of people that I hope to meet outside of the conference. I rented a car so that could give me the opportunity to meet anybody. So if you want to hang out and have a chat, you know, email me or something, because I'll be able to try to get around and break free for a little bit. But, you know, if inside the conference,
that might want to be a passenger.
Yeah, we'll live stream it or something, right?
Like to go to the Rockies.
Yeah, we could live stream it or something.
Live stream a few times would be great. It's great to be around these, you know, a lot of the people you're going to meet, I've met, and it is amazing to hang out with them.
Well, it's really great that there's so many different people and there's so much diversity, and everybody's delivering flat Earth in their own way. So we have a lot of our bases covered, and we know that we're going to have more people on board in the future.
Hey, Josh, can I just say something? It feels a bit strange doing this on a live hangout, but Mr. Fry isn't going to take a car. He's going there, flying there. But he's hoping that someone has a car and maybe they go to the Rockies.
Oh. Well, I don't want to get stranded up there before the conference and everything.
No. After the conference, on the Friday.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're going to have to keep an open door. I mean, because, you know, we have to come together and let the public know how important this is. I love YouTube. It's how we're able to communicate. Facebook is great, but we really need people to start stepping it up on camera or off camera, bringing this to the public, and, you know, taking a small portion of your day and actually maybe even going door to door with a best friend who's a flat earther. and handing paraphernalia out. Today is election day here, and a lot of our politicians hire people to go door to door. So maybe if we have to start up a GoFundMe or something, and get people together, because Mormons do it. Jehovah's Witnesses go door to door to spread their message. How important is flat Earth? Can you intentionally, with a genuine purpose, bring flat Earth up to a stranger, and expect to have a 40-minute conversation with somebody? And that's what we're dealing with right now. We're dealing with a person's time, and time is important.
They've taken away, like someone said the other day, I think it was Mr. Fry, they don't make encyclopedias anymore. And the one thing that obviously Harry, I don't know whether you do, I think you probably do, you hand out leaflets. So that's written stuff. And then I was thinking, yesterday, David DITRH came on, and he reckons he showed us he's got a 30-page document now, how to deal with the law or go into court. That's 30 pages thick. It's a bit like you almost need to give them an encyclopedia.
Yeah, you do. But, it is important to encourage people that, what their rights are, but you don't have to do it on camera. Yeah, there are limitations for filming this on camera. To avoid that, just pair up with another person and do it. I can't tell you how much more confidence there is that emanates from the both of you together when you're talking to one or two people about flat Earth. There is strength in numbers, and the establishment has TV, and it has the internet, and it has everything else as their platform to continually bombard us with fear porn. And we need to, as a community of truthers, it doesn't matter who you are or if you haven't come over to Flat Earth yet, you still have to, we have to come together, and just play politics for a while. We can't have a divisive spirit. And that's very difficult to have, especially when you involve a creator.
Yes, it's a bit weird, really, because they say, "Are you like a society?" Or it's like a political thing. You always want to steer away from it, but it is very deep and political. It just not their way.
Well, and that's why, people, in the workplace, they avoid conversations about religion and politics. How do you avoid politic conversations today, of all days? Today's like the Christmas of politics. How do you avoid talking about this at work, right?
It's Christmas of Politics Day,
yeah. We get it every 2 years. So
what's happening today, John?
I'm sorry?
Just for over here in the UK, if we don't know, what's happening today then in America?
Election Day.
Yeah, we have our midterm elections, so, it's not anything major like president, but these are allegedly the people that, maybe me or the dude could run for office and have a, parts chance in a windstorm to win. But to become president, surely there's, clearly some hoops that you have to cross to get to that point. But, midterm elections are people, that might have a pretty decent following. But once they get into that, group of people, they have lobbyists to bid for. And a lot of people have a price, and they're willing to sell their soul to become a politician.
Yep.
How can you vote anymore when you know that if you vote and they're telling you they're going to spend the money here, that really they're going to take your money and lie to you and spend it over there and do all these horrible things?
Yeah, they're not to be trusted.
I can't vote for that anymore.
Yeah, it's really a travesty that, given all of our rights and given the opportunity for the Second Amendment, this country is continually running the way that it is. But we want to see Tom Brady retire, right? We want to see if Aaron Rodgers can win another Super Bowl. That was the storyline over the weekend. And that's important to the sheep. So until we can get the sheep to understand where they really live. All these people think they're playing football on a sphere spinning in outer space. I mean, let's be real here, right? You know, all these people think, you know, when we're watching movies, every movie, think about it, is based on spinning on a spherical ball in outer space. No movies have been made in regards to an infinite plane with an innumerable, unmeasured amount of land and resources.
It would actually make it like with football, like UK would. It would even make it difficult getting a goal, wouldn't it?
Right.
Can you imagine when you're playing rugby? You'd never be able to get it over the bars.
You'd have to account for all these maths.
Yeah, you'd have to have like a computer with you. Like you'd have to be doing all these calculations, and then it'd be too late. You'd lost the game anyway now by doing all the calculations.
Yeah, right. Yep, exactly. And that's another thing too is, you know, education for flat earthers about what kind of topics the people will bring up when they're trying to stump a flat earther. You know, and a lot of people,
you know, watching, I mean, a lot of the, I've learned watching you and John Smith, Harry, you two, I mean, you guys get hit with everything from, you know,
they've got good
Coriolis effect to, you know, religion and God. I mean, it's just amazing the range of topics that come up.
Right.
And you're like, what? How do you answer that? I don't know. But I like the way you handle it. A lot of times you're like, well, I don't have all the answers, and you're changing the subject on me. Usually they try to change the subject quickly.
Yeah. And you got to keep these people on their toes because, you know, like I said before, flat earthers are 101 in most topics now. And if somebody's not into flat earth, then we have to try to get them on something that has clearly happened in the last 15 years that can show them that, hey, you know, maybe I should look into this. And maybe it might take a year or two for them to get the flat earth, but at least you did your part and you did what you were supposed to do at that moment. And then you move on to the next person because people aren't going to understand, you know, why you have to measure for a sniper's bullet, but airplanes don't have to measure for a moving airstrip. You know, how do airplanes land on a moving airstrip?
Not just that, Josh. If, say, you went from, say, you to the UK, there's going to be a difference in the rotation. He never says, fasten up, everybody. We're just picking up another 200 miles an hour. The captain doesn't say that, does he?
No, it's never stewardess. You know, let everybody know I'm going to give the basic warning. And that's what really activism, doing it on camera with people who have the confidence and understanding of how to deliver the message, are able to learn. And then you can go out and you can do it on your own because, you know, like I said before, you have truth on your side. You are a winner when you talk about flat earth with people. You own them, but you do it in a humble manner and you treat these people with respect because you were once there too. It's like we were saying before the chat, like 5 years ago, I can't believe how much I've learned in 5 years. I thought we were living on a spinning ball in outer space, and I had the blue marble image on my Windows screen as a screensaver.
You weren't the only one, though, Josh.
You know, and so I'm so fortunate that people have made the effort themselves to put this information out there. You know, 3 or 4 years ago, you know, arguably, 2007, Math Powerland would say, where he did his comedy skit. And that was great, you know, but some people aren't going to, you know, be totally into, you know, the comedy skit or even understand it. So they have to hear a 2-hour-long narration of 200 proofs, right? So everybody wakes up in their own way with the message that resonates with them.
I put it a bit like, everybody's looking at the television screen, and a lot of people are watching the programs, but we can see behind it. It is like lifting the veil. That's Enoch.
Call every flat earther Toto, right? Because every single one of us is pulling over the curtain on every conspiracy, really.
But isn't it so weird how they were able to program us into believing all this stuff when really, I mean, if you even think about it, with these 3 different directions we're traveling, like with the universe, with the sun in the universes, and then actually what we're doing with the 1,000 anti-clockwise with the moon, it's Mach 80. Mach 80. How would we ever survive it? We go outside, and some days there's not even a little breeze.
Yeah, and that's why people say, they bring up being inside of a car, right? Well, put the top down on that convertible and see if you feel the wind and everything, flowing around you. Of course you will. So by your own admission, you're saying that you live in an enclosed system, right? There is no gradient. There's no gradient when you put your top down on your convertible.
I did that to my daughter, Josh, about 3 years ago. We were traveling down the road, and I said, stick your head out the window. We're doing 40, 50 miles an hour, and can you handle it? And she did for a second, and I said, no, go on. And anyway, she went, all right, I get the point, but she doesn't want to. She's just would like, no, she doesn't want to in it, but she does really. She knows we couldn't survive it even doing 50 miles an hour.
Right. Well, it goes back to water. Like I said before, it goes back to water. We all know what water does. We all have seen it. It's imprinted in our heart. We know what it is. It's our totem for this reality. So when you bring that up to people, it just gets people. So.
And do you know something? I think it's really strange that none of us realise that, say if you were standing on top of a mountain, and there's other mountains and they're miles ahead, but you're on a taller mountain, so actually you can see the bases of some of these mountains in the distance that you would never see it like that if you're on a ball. It just goes on as far as you can see until you get a camera out, and then it goes on further, and a telescope, and it goes on further. It just goes on.
Yeah. Well, shocker for everybody. I do lean more towards an infinite plane, infinite land. Whether the Antarctic Treaty is true or not, whether the ice wall are pictures of the North Pole, I don't know. I've never been to the Antarctic ice wall. I don't know if that's the North Pole or not.
Hey, Josh. Patricia, are you there? Patricia? Patricia? Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm here.
Patricia, what were you saying today? Tell Josh.
You what, sorry?
The bit about Antarctica. You were talking about that today.
Yeah, I was just basically saying what Josh had just said, that how do we know that these photos from that are supposedly Antarctica are not actually the North Pole? We don't know. Unless you've actually been there and noticed that there were 2 different lands. But even if you were thinking you were going to the South Pole, but they actually took you to the North Pole, how would we know? Unless we had our own equipment, we've just follow everything that we're told. How do we know that's true?
Exactly.
That's what I was saying.
Exactly, and that's why the airplane flight that was supposed to happen a couple of months ago didn't happen, because they wouldn't allow us to take our own equipment on this flight. So whether or not that story's true, you can take it for what it's worth. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that that's true. Then we have to have our own airplanes, right? We have to find somebody who has a private airplane for at least 15 to 20 people to be on, so that we can take this flight. And that's assuming that we go through the red tape so that we can have military clearance to go through this. And what kind of credibility are a bunch of flat earthers going to have to break treaties to go south and find out what else is out there? And that's why I want to go to the North Pole.
Oh gosh, we're not allowed to go to the south and we're not allowed to go to the north. There's a point where it just stops and then it's military looked after. Isn't that incredible? There's something very wrong there, isn't it, when you think about it?
It really is. It really is. It really is beyond my imagination why people like us, a human race that has majority gone through public school, would accept an Antarctic treaty. I'm not going to step on any animal. I'm not going to start a fire where I shouldn't. I mean, come on, they think we're all idiots and we're just going to start running around with, flamethrowers and melting the ice. Give us a break. Why can't we go to Antarctica as a free people and freely travel to the
We
south?
know why we can't, because we're not a ball.
Well, yeah, right. Well, that's just it, and that is one of the reasons why this globe lie has sustained so much is because if people think that they live on a ball, exploration is pointless, right? Because we've allegedly found everything that there is need to find. And all these little islands that all these rich people are buying up off the coast of Hawaii, like, what is up with that? Like, how are you able to just purchase land? That seems to be out of my resources right now, especially if I'm making $15 an hour. So why is it that you get the right to buy all this land within the boundary of the Truman Show, but we can't, as 20 people, raise $500,000 to go south in a Titanic-like ship in safety? How about you guys protect us? And I don't want to turn it into a reality TV show either.
But the ones buying the islands are still living in the game, aren't they? And playing the game.
They're playing the game because they have investments, They own Facebook. They own Amazon. So, like, what are you implying? Like, are you saying, like, if and when, maybe, possibly in the future, America, I don't know, has a national emergency and it's the purge? You get to fly away to your own island and, live in peace with your internet? Come on, that's not fair to everybody else. And these elections are continuing to propagate that type of idea, where if you have money, you're just fortunate to do that. I have to live in this $900 a month, 600 square feet apartment. That's not fair.
Nothing's fair, though, in this in the globe world, is it, though?
Well, I'm tired of being a child, though, and stomping my feet and saying, this isn't fair, and then having the government say, well, life isn't fair, deal with it. See, that's not right, because allegedly paying our taxes is voluntary. So if I see my taxes being put towards, I don't know, a space entity run by the military industrial complex, NASA, why can't I withhold my tax money? Because I don't know how much a fifth of a penny of my taxes each year is going to NASA. And so I'm going to just withhold all of it until I see results. But unfortunately, enough people, are brainwashed by the American dream, and you can only have it while you're asleep, that you have to pay your taxes because that's your civic duty.
Don't you think it's really weird? Like, even over here, you see if on YouTube that America's kind of bankrupt, but every day they give $53 million to NASA.
It's really disappointing.
That's disappointing. That's right. I'm back. America's not what it used to be. You just said you're paying $900 a month for 600 square feet. I used to pay $1,000 a month for like 3,000 square feet. It's crazy.
Well, in the UK, they build rabbit runs here.
But yeah, we're getting squeezed and ripped off at the same time. It's really it's astonishing that it's come this far, and people going for it, man.
Well, I'm really encouraged by the conference that's coming up.
It's going to be huge. There's going to be a ton of press there. But, a lot of that press is going to be, these are just a bunch of crazy people or whatever. They believe the Earth's flat. they don't believe NASA or whatever. But they're hopefully we'll get a couple of good shakes out of some of this. But
That's fine, because the people that are supposed to be there to wake up to this message are going to be there, and
right.
the people who hear it are going to hear it. So really, whether you believe in the Bible or not, or use it because it's got great anecdotes like, Chinese fortune cookie. But in Joshua, it talks about choose this day whom you will serve, Baal or the Lord God.
Right.
And I guess that's what activism does, is it polices people on whether they want to believe the establishment, education, or believe in themselves to go out and investigate something without having a second or third party confirm their belief. And I think a lot of people are afraid to go to that next step. And we have to, as activists or whatever, passively wear your t-shirt. Great. Hand out cards to your waitress as a tip. Awesome. Give a tip to your barista. If that's your activism, that's great. We have to, affect this reality in
Yes.
whichever way that we can.
Any way we can. I'm totally with you. If that's what you do, make videos, great. Make videos. If you want to hand out cards, great. If you want to get involved in meetups, conferences, or whatever, it's
Yes.
great.
Yes, it really is. And so we all have our role to play, and this
Yep.
conference is going to be a great platform for all types of people who deliver the message in their own way, whatever title you want to give them. And let's just say it, call them a shill or call them a government agent or whatever. They still have the message behind them.
Right.
So whether that person is who you say they are, they have the message. So if you feel like you can deliver the message better in your own way, then do it or stop complaining about it.
Sorry, I muted myself. Yeah, Flat Earth Dude has gone out in like lab jackets. Haven't you, Flat Earth Dude?
Yeah, I've sported the lab coat a couple times. It's
Yes. I'll be
it's kind
bringing
of
mine at the conference.
it's kind of fun. It's good. Yeah, it gets attention. People respect it.
It's fun.
We respect you. That's good.
Yeah, it's really fun. I have done it a couple of times. I have a blue lab coat with a periodic table bow tie.
We're good? Okay.
So,
Not sure that would work at the
Yeah,
stadium.
I've seen the bow tie. That's
and
pretty.
it's fun to ham it up with the people.
It's so Bill Nye, man.
It's so disarming, really, is what it is, because when they start talking to you in their mind, they start to think like this is a joke because he's wearing a lab coat and he's a flat earther. So, that doesn't compute. That's an oxymoron.
It really is. I was shocked how well it worked, and when I first heard of it, I'm like, it's kind of gimmicky, but no, man, it actually does work. I've proven that for myself.
Yeah. And Mark Sargent and Patricia Steer, they did their episode with the lab coat, and
that's right.
It's
a statement, and it's one more thing in our toolbox. We have so many now. I was kind of talking with somebody this morning about it. I mean, it was actually Poncho, I think, and it's just like we have so much we can bring up now. Yeah, every day we're getting more and more information that proves we're not spinning, and the water's not bending, and it's just proof after proof after proof, and it's just fabulous.
Yeah.
But we've known it a long time. It's easy to get burned out doing this, man, because you spend a majority of your free time looking into this, or like you're out making videos for hours and hours and hours on end, and then you have to go edit it. There's more hours and hours, and you know, you're almost obsessed. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to find a balance. So I try to find a balance, you know, family and doing this stuff and work. So I would love to be
You got to
doing it
give
full time, but
well, yeah, and it's important to give yourself some alone time too, because as powerful as a group is, there is something different with doing activism by yourself and going
yeah,
out and talking to people, because it really starts to hone in your own way to deliver the message, because then it becomes yours. You're not
right,
so dependent on other people around you. And then when you do come together with another person, you're able to hold your own. And it's great to have conversations and relaxed and not have to turn it into a debate. But the other person who's listening can also take in the information and learn from each other. And the more and more that we continue to go out there and affect, the air around you and the people in your town or your state, the more it's going to kind of 100 monkey syndrome, this whole thing to where other people are going to do activism for you indirectly.
right. That's amazing.
You know, so we have to, as a human race, eventually come together. Yeah, and a human race. I don't view people as a race, a color of skin, or anything like that.
No,
We really are a human race because once you get to flat Earth, you really start to talk about other topics. And there's a eugenics program, to reduce the population of human beings. And how can we explore our flat Earth if there are no human beings around to explore it?
Very true. Can I just say, Josh, someone else has joined. Stephen Harris. Hello, Steve.
Hello,
Hey,
sir.
how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can hear
yeah, I can hear you, Steve.
All right, all right. How you guys doing?
good. How you doing, Stephen?
another activist
Doing great. Thanks for asking.
who goes to the
I,
Flat
I
Earth
couldn't be
Meetup.
better myself. I'm hanging out with Josh, man. This is awesome. And Karen. And
Really
now
fun.
Steve.
Good to talk to
There
you.
you go. So you guys are in good hands.
Yeah, we are. And I'm on my way to interview a quantum physicist on a hangout.
That should be fun.
Excellent.
Hey, did you guys see the it's slipping my mind. The one thing that Jared's brother did.
Yes.
I
The
kind of liked it. It wasn't too bad.
Doubt Me channel.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway,
No, it was really well done. It was a great piece. Did you
Yeah, I
see it,
thought so
Josh?
too.
With David Weiss.
Yeah, it was David Wise, Patricia, I think Mark Sargent, a few other people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
to have just the different people carry the message. And again, like I said before, it's just about getting that word out there. Flat Earth. It smacks you in the mouth, and you don't know what to do with it. And I think that dumbing it down to like geocentrism or some other term, a means to not say the F word, is kind of an insult.
can I just
Yeah.
say, if you didn't know Steve, Josh, Steve, by the way.
Yeah, just
Pleasure, sir.
Here, sorry, carry on.
Yeah. So, and you're going to get different types of people who, just aren't ready for it. And some people want to continue to eat their steak and they know it's fake. And you just kind of let those people go and you don't waste your time too
Right.
long with people who aren't going to who just want to argue and just be a little Richard, right?
Right.
So there's nothing wrong. And hey, if somebody wants to walk away and say, oh, he lost the argument, you know what? Yeah, dude, I lost the argument. Water is still flat. I'm going to walk away and good luck with that, bud. Because that's what it is. That's what it comes down to. It comes down to water being flat and level. And we're not moving. So.
And we're not moving.
And that's
We're
the
not.
truth. That's the truth about it.
We
You know,
actually
so
are living in the Garden of Eden, man. This place is amazing, and we've been
it
taught
really is. But
that
I want
it's
more of
just
it
an
though.
accident, and it's just that drives me nuts. It's too perfect. It's too amazing. Go look at a tree and check out an apple tree, man. Unbelievable.
Well, the Earth is a sphere because apples are spheres. So,
Who made a
like,
tree? Who made a seed? Who made a human? Who made all these things?
Giving
Yeah, so
birth is just insanely amazing. I've never
I
done
wouldn't
it.
know anything about that. Yeah.
Well,
I've heard
you're
it's crazy.
here. You're here, and you're not in some simulation, man. I believe you were birthed. So there you
Yeah,
go.
we're definitely organic, for sure.
actually, you know what? I wished somebody happy birthday yesterday, and they said born day, not birthday,
It's okay.
Ah, interesting.
because I guess birth is a government term. So
Right.
Well, I mean,
that's what I got. I wish you happy, but I got it on that. I like to happy born day then. But yeah, thanks for the information. Um,
yeah, right.
so I heard you don't like the term geocentric.
No, I mean, I don't mind it. I mean, that is the quote technical term and stuff. But, how far is, saying, hey, the Earth is geocentric when you're trying to do activism?
Right.
Is that going to hit somebody in the mouth? No, it's not. Flat Earth is. Hey, the Earth is flat. Hey, the Earth is geocentric. Uh, huh?
Right. When I look
Aaron,
see
you
when I
know,
hear the word geocentric, to me that just means that Earth is the center of, or everything revolves around Earth. Is how I look at it, as opposed to because I use the term every now and then because I like the to me, see, first of all, just so you know where I stand, I've never in my life believed we lived on a spinning ball, and it's been like that ever since I was a child in the '70s, right? So um, when I engage with other flat earthers or other free thinkers, I engage with them because I like the way they think, and I like the fact that they're their own people, right? So I don't care what you think. You're not going to change my mind anyway. I'm pretty confident about what I agree with, and I don't believe in anything, but I will either agree or disagree with something until I gather more information, and then I'll change my way of thinking based on the newer information that I get, providing that it's valid information, right? So I, as a child, always first I never believed we lived on a spinning ball, and so by default, I felt that the world had to be flat. That was just my conclusion, and I thought it went on forever. But that was the way I thought before this modern day movement came around. Once this movement came around, and I look at more things, like as a child, I knew nothing of an ice wall, or I'm not a Bible thumper or anything like this. I knew nothing about the firmament. I didn't know anything about that stuff. So this stuff is kind of new for me, as far as that. When I say new, within the last couple of years, but I do think that whatever we're at. Uh, we're here. This is it. There's nothing else. Uh, everything is above us. That's just my opinion, and I'll use geocentric and other things just because I can't prove anything. But just because I can't doesn't mean I believe you. Just because you have a model, because I don't think anybody knows what they're really talking about. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times when and I'm starting to think that the real argument is the gravity issue, right? I think somewhere in this gravity definition is where everything got all screwed up. If I don't know if that makes sense or not, because I see other people like I don't agree with the heliocentric model at all, and I've seen other like the geocentric model, I've seen concave models, and I've seen other models that to me, even if I don't believe them, they sound better than the heliocentric model. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so
yeah,
I
no, totally. Yep.
So when you're saying that okay, we're traveling, we're moving, and Earth revolving, 500,000 and all this other stuff, to me it just sounds stupid. You know what I mean? So what I do is I look at all the different models other than the heliocentric and put them all together, and then I'm trying to figure out there might be a little bit of truth in everything, but I do not think that we're involved. That's for sure. And
Yeah.
level is what I've always went with. And that was before I had known of any movement or anything. It just seems like it makes more sense because everything else sounds like too magical for me.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think if you use geocentric, somehow you got to lead them somewhere to get them to the flat Earth. You understand what I'm saying? Even if you give them baby steps. Because I think sometimes if you talk to people and you say the Earth is flat, if they're a heliocentric person, then that's like the total, like polar opposite. So if you say, okay, we're geocentric, they're like, okay, well, I've heard of that. And then from there, you break them down to the flat Earth part. Because I think they're just looking at one model and the other and nothing in between. And so it's like, whoa, it's like it's like trying to sip out of a fire hydrant. It's too much at once. So I think that when you're trying to get somebody to come to flat Earth, you kind of got to like walk them there very carefully. Otherwise, it seems like too much for them because they're not used to thinking outside the box or for themselves.
Well, I have come across quite a few people in the public eye who don't even know what heliocentric means.
Right.
So, I'll just throw flat Earth at them. And if they do ever want to bring up the idea of gravity, that is, in my opinion, totally debatable because a lot of the people come up with their wambulance and say, why, what's the motive?
Right.
Right. First they'll
Yeah.
say gravity, and then they'll say, well, why would they lie to us?
Yeah, and either it's
You're like,
why
whoa,
would they
whoa,
lie
whoa,
to
wait,
us, and then it's
time out.
gravity.
Time out.
It's
We were just talking about gravity. Now you want to know why they do this.
Right.
Exactly.
See, that's what I'm saying. So see, see the gravity is the whole thing that's holding the heliocentric model together. So if you debunk that, then everything they'll come to the conclusion that okay, well, Earth is a plane.
You're breaking up a little, Steve.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
A little better, yeah.
Okay, hold on 1 second here.
I think you
What I'm
took
saying is,
a bit away from the microphone. Are you on your phone?
Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
This seems better.
All right. So no, what I was saying was that once you get rid of the gravity thing, that's when it'll make more sense to the people that believe the Earth is flat, right? So I think that when and gravity is the whole thing that holds the whole lie together. So I think the whole argument is in the gravity part of it all. And
I agree. I mean, it comes up a lot. It comes up
right.
almost every time you introduce somebody to flat Earth. That's like the first or third question, right?
Right. Yeah. So I think if you
or
get rid of
that's their defense, whatever. That's their defense is coming out. Oh, well, it's gravity. Gravity.
Yeah. So I think that's where the whole argument really lies, because once they understand the gravity thing, then they'll figure out, okay, well, Earth can't be moving and traveling through space. They'll come to that conclusion on your own. But sometimes when you talk to people, you have to make them think for themselves. Because if they don't think they thought of it on their own, then they don't like to believe it. People like to. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Sometimes you have to talk to people to make it think like they came up with the idea themselves.
Right.
In order for them to push it. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Yeah, I can't argue with that. That's good.
Yeah, we have to do things in our own way, though, don't we? When we go out. Because I listening to you, I'm already frustrated. I just don't think it's me. I'm just not very good with the public because it's like, wake up, please, wake up.
Right, because some people come to the conclusion. Some people might realize it maybe after watching one video or looking into some things. And sometimes it takes people like hundreds of videos, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, I got it. But they hit it. It came to them at their own time. It took them a while. But the more invested they're in investigating it, the more they come to that conclusion that, okay, well, this must be true. But it's like they felt like they came to it on their own. And I think that's what happened.
You're kind of muffling out. You're muffling out. I don't know what it's your mic or headphones.
It could be the mic. I'll switch up something.
That sounds better right there. Whatever you do.
Okay. All right, then. Is that my better?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a bit, yeah.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah, we're all you know, we're
But
gonna
I
get
love
hit
those
with
things you guys do. I sit there and watch those from time to time. The Saturday night flatter day. Is that what you guys call it now?
Flatter Day, Flat Earth Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's good stuff. And Hollywood Boulevard's definitely a place
it's
to go. I might
different.
pop over there one night. I was talking to my son about that the other day. I was like, we should go over there one night. And he was like, yeah, cool.
Definitely. I won't be there next couple weeks, but Dan might be out there, and so um, I'm hoping to get out there in about 3 weeks. I might
Yeah.
be out there in 2 weeks. I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure it
Yeah.
out, but
So I heard you guys talking about the event coming up, right? Isn't that in a couple of days or so? The thing in Denver?
Yeah, next week. Josh is going. Josh.
next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Oh, or Josh, are
Yeah.
you going?
Yeah, actually on Wednesday at 2:30, I'll be doing a presentation.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
about going because I actually, though I live in Los Angeles now, I kind of grew up in Denver. I went to high school there and everything, so I lived there for quite some time. So it would have been a fun place for me to go. I just couldn't make it at this point. But
What are you doing a presentation on, Josh? Give us a inside.
Well,
You're going to
I mean, it's
talk about politics. Which way are you
yeah,
going?
right. Talk about the weather. Talk about how the Vikings are doing.
Right, you're going to talk about sports. There you go.
Yeah, and how I called it about my Minnesota Gophers just being terrible once they start playing the Big Ten. So when you're in this place long enough, you start to figure out what reality is,
sure.
and
Yep.
activism is great. Each person has to find their own area of activism. And if you're still listening to Alex Jones now, like you did 5 years ago, you need to, you and I need to have a conversation, because,
You don't want to be listening to Coast to Coast anymore.
yeah, right. So,
Don't do that.
we've all developed where we're at because of activists like that. And you can leave those people in the dust. That's fine. They brought you to where you're at, but you don't have to continue to listen to them anymore. And so
Right.
everybody has their own way to communicate the topic that they're passionate about. You take it for what it's worth, and then you move on to other ventures like obviously Flat Earth. And you are the tip of the beak. You are 101 on narratives that are obvious deceptions in this reality. And so as much as I can bring up 5G, vaccines, and eugenics, flat earthers are front lines.
Front line,
And
man.
yeah, we need to
Front
communicate
line.
that more to people. We need to be able to be more bold, because then we don't need your Alex Joneses or David Ikes or any other conspiracy channel that you listen to on YouTube. And I think that's just something that I'm going to point out kind of towards the end, is that flat Earth activism is a must. But if there are other topics that these people want to talk about, which I have done, like 9/11 and chemtrails,
Yeah.
you're capable of most flat earthers are capable of doing that. And now in the public eye, it seems like a lot of people want to kind of put the kibosh or stifle a lot of that. But I don't feel too shy about talking about chemtrails, because that's observational. We can all see that. We can all see water lay flat, and we can all see them spraying our skies.
That's a fact.
Fact, Jack.
Fact, Jack. Yeah, it's good. Two things you can
Josh,
point out.
what's the favourite thing that you like talking about when you go out?
Oh, what do I like to talk about, or like what would I like to talk about?
Well, I'll get Flat Earth Dude and Steve to answer that one as well. But when you talk about Flat Earth, what's your favourite part of it to tell someone?
Outer space is fake.
Outer space is fake.
Outer space is fake.
Ain't spinning on
That is such an emotional topic for people. I'm watching old Star Trek episodes right now, and it's totally fascinating
Yeah.
to, watch that programming years before the moon landing. Now, that was all 79 episodes were produced in 1969, months before the moon landing.
Wow.
So they were giving you the idea of outer space, and by just so happenstance, outer space is exactly how they portrayed it in Hollywood. What a coincidence!
And that's so funny that in '68, 2001, Odyssey came out. How
Right?
interesting. And Stanley
You know,
Kubrick, what's he doing over there at NASA? What was he doing? Are you kidding me?
yeah, yep, exactly. So, um,
And what's
it's
Disney?
it's
What's
something,
Disney doing over at NASA? Oh boy.
right? What are they? What type of message are they trying to portray? Well, they're trying to portray a particular message towards the youth, because people in the 40s knew that if you want to get kids, if you want to get adults to believe what you're trying to tell them,
Right.
you have to give them.
Uh-oh.
Hello?
We lost him.
What?
I think I still see his avatar though, right?
Yeah, I still see it, but I'm not sure. He's not muted.
Oh, okay.
It happens. It happens all the time, by the way. At least once a
Well,
day.
while we're waiting for Josh to come back, Steve,
Well, shout
what?
out to the chat. Who's in the chat?
Okay, well, there's Grace by Faith, Cheek Girl, Nimble Horse, Hero Skeptics, The Oddity, Larry, um, her, Joe Mama, Nimble Horse.
Joe Mama, Joe Mama.
Yes, very welcome chat room. Mwah.
Welcome,
Cheers
welcome.
to the chat. Cheers to the
Cheers
chat.
to the chat.
Steve, what's your
Oh,
favourite thing? Or
You know what? I kind of jump around a little bit on everything. So I'll talk about, sometimes I'll talk politics, sometimes I'll talk
gravity.
about public
Gravity.
schools, gravity, um, all kinds of things.
Gravity.
I talk about the earth a little bit sometimes, but I don't like really try to pitch it to people. The only reason why I don't pitch a lot of things anymore is because I kind of know where I stand, so I don't care what you believe. You know what I mean? Like I think what I think anyway. And so sometimes people that I know, they'll be like, they already know that I have my own point of view, so they'll just be like, Steve is cool. Sometimes people will ask me questions, like my kids will bring their friends over sometimes, and they'll ask me questions, right? Just to get to pick my brain on stuff, on just all kinds of different things. And then they're like, oh, okay, cool. And so then they get a kick out of that, like, wow, I never looked at it like that. So if I'm talking to people about things, sometimes I'll bring stuff up, but sometimes I realize now that people know. I think people don't like ask me things now on purpose because they're like, oh, okay, we don't know what Steve's going to say.
yeah, that's what happens to me. Don't ask her anything till he starts talking about something.
Yeah, I noticed that
right?
people really tiptoe around me. They don't say, I'm like, okay. And if I say something, then they won't even if they want a response, they won't. Even if they want to say, they're just like biting their tongue. So I'm just like, okay, forget it.
Apologies. Can you hear me okay now?
What was that, Josh?
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah,
We can hear you.
Sound great.
All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, I
It
forgot
happens.
to reconnect to Wi-Fi when I walked out. So,
Ah.
but just to close off, the activism idea. I think it's really important to start focusing on how we can affect change in our educational system. We need to, I don't know if it's going to have to be activism outside of a public school, because there are even certain laws regarding bus stops.
Right.
For example, if you were to purposefully do activism for any topic, really, near a bus stop, where children will be present, allegedly the school owns that bus stop, and they can say that that's private property. And if
Sure.
you're within earshot of those children, you will be coerced, if you will, to kind of put
Get
the
the heck
kibosh
out of
on
there.
your message.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's just something to think about. We have to use tactics. We have to be more informed about where we can and can't speak, and be our most effective, in doing that. And to an extent, not being an irritant, not just do flat earth activism just because it's something to do or it's like trendy, but be tactful, be respectful of people, because we really want these people to, understand the message and hear it.
Sure.
But there will, I'll just say 2 years from now, or maybe even next year by this time, yeah, we have to be a little bit more aggressive in saying, no, you know what, this is a public space and I can say what I want. I'm going to have to start getting arrested on a school night, and spend a day in jail and miss work the next day.
Yeah, that
Who's
doesn't make any sense.
willing to go to jail?
No, yeah, I agree with you. The other thing I've noticed too is I've noticing when I see a lot of flat earthers confronting with other people, not to get so riled up, because I see a lot of arguments going on sometimes, and it's a cool thing. But I mean, to be passionate about something, but if you're starting to insult people and things like that, that doesn't move the conversation forward at all. The other
No.
thing I see too is like people are like, "Oh, I just got out of Facebook jail, this, that, or whatever." I think it's silly to post something that you're going to get banned for if you're preaching to the choir. To me, if you and I are friends and we already agree on the same thing,
Right.
I'm with you already. You don't have to sit there because then newer people can't get your message. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, well, you got out of Facebook jail. Okay, that's cool. What were you
Yeah.
posting? Okay, well, you have 5,000 of friends that all agree with you anyway, so you're not informing anybody new. Why, get your platform taken down, preaching to the choir? You know what I mean? If you're out
Right.
there trying to present something new to people that never heard the message before, that's a different story. But to sit there and just present something to people that already agree with you, and all of a sudden you're getting slapped for it or whatever, it doesn't make any sense to me. I definitely like what you do. I was watching one of your videos the other day where you were at a park, and people were coming up to you, asking you about the flat Earth stuff and things like that. That's cool. I think that's fantastic. The stuff that Flat Earth Dude does, and the guys doing the Boulevard, that's great. Risking your platform, I don't think it's a good idea, because then nobody can get your message. And if you're on YouTube trying to do something, that's different, because you have newer eyes other than the ones that subscribe to you. You have extra people that might go in there just for a minute to see what you're doing. That's a different story. But when I see people on social media getting their stuff uh, taken down, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, it makes sense if those types of people, which you should be familiar with, right, are looking for attention. And if they're trying to get YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, and they're trying to push the boundaries, we already know the most. I'll say from experience on me, because of what I've seen other people post, I know the
Right.
boundaries. I know what you can
Exactly.
and can't say.
Right.
So if you're
Exactly.
saying something on purpose just to then play the sympathy card and play the victim, I have a problem with that, because then that kind of affects your integrity and the message that I feel you're trying to deliver.
Right. I see that happening too. Like, for example, if you know that you're not supposed to post Las Vegas shootings or whatever, then don't post it if you already know. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
everybody all your friends know about, everybody in the community already knows about it. You know what I mean? And so,
right.
unless you have
So
new information that you're presenting us, it doesn't really make any sense.
if
Can
you
I
want to
just
post,
can I just say
yeah,
that
go ahead.
DITRH has joined us, just to let you know. Oh, he's gone now.
Well,
DITRH
good.
just
He's
joined on, and
gone. Ah, it's good. He's
yeah, he's
gone.
not come back. Hopefully, he just obviously
Ah,
pressed something.
don't. All right. Oh,
I just
I'm
wanted you to
kidding.
be aware that he'd come on, and as soon as I said
Ah.
that, he left. There
Oh
he is.
no.
DITRH.
Well,
David.
Hey, David.
What's happening, David?
Well,
David,
until he gets his stuff
just
together, I was just going
yeah,
to finish
just
up that thought.
Yeah,
You know,
finish
if
up.
you want to talk about alleged events that happened at worship centers, then
Yes.
go out and set up a table. Go out and
Right.
set up a table and talk to the people face to face, because your First Amendment right is protected. Or
Right.
you're gonna have or risk going to jail. But you know, if you want to risk going to jail on Facebook, yeah, anybody can do that. I could do that. Big rip,
Right.
big
Right.
man
Right.
on campus. Go out in
Right.
public and talk about it then, and then let's see if you have a pair.
Right. I agree with you 100%.
So that's all I'm saying. You know, get your facts together, which most flat earthers have. They have facts, but they have truth on their side. So, you know, no matter how you deliver the message, your truth and the message that you're trying to deliver is not going to return void. And so you're not going to be able to screw it up. Now, if you convey your message in a manner that the community might not agree with, you will get accosted for sure. But that's just iron sharpening iron. Don't take it
Right.
personally. Maybe
Right.
activism face to face just isn't for you. And that's great, because then there are other platforms that you could use. Social media.
Right.
So I
I
mean,
think
that's another aspect of, you know, maybe David could, you know, talk about this, but you know, activism with friends, family, coworkers, and strangers. We have social media right now, so let's use it. I see a lot of truthers who have no Facebook page. You're like, oh, I'm going to get off Facebook because this, that, or the other. That's a platform that the sheep use, you know, and
Right.
if we have our advantage for now, you know, put your pride aside, for crying out loud. Unless you really feel like your privacy is that important, I can totally respect that. But don't come on Facebook or Twitter and complain about getting your message, you know, shot down, because then the other side of the coin is people are too aggressive, you know.
Right.
So
hmm,
I mean,
can
I've lost plenty of friends and family, you know, over this.
we all have, by the way, Josh. Yeah, most of the people don't come with you. Can I just explain that David's there, but he's just having a bit of a problem with audio at the moment. I don't.
I'm having a little audio issue, but hi everybody. And
Hey,
Hey,
David. How
Hey,
you
buddy.
doing?
I agree with what Josh is saying. There's so many different ways to do activism. You know, the street activism, great. The conference, great. You know, quietly slipping stuff, you know, cards around. All of it's good.
Changing your Wi-Fi
There-
hotspot to flat Earth.
I every time I
love
ship a
that.
package, especially any returns to a department store or anything, I cover it with flat Earth stuff. Covered. You know, if you ever sell anything on eBay, put flat Earth brochures in the package. What do you care?
There you go.
Right.
You never know.
Yeah,
You
quality
might
for
wake up
marketing,
another
yeah.
Josh or another Jaren
Right.
or somebody.
Yeah, you really don't know. And you know what? I mean, this is a touchy subject, but I got to bring it up because it's on point, because of what I want after Flat Earth. What I want on my Flat Earth is kind of like my title of a book that I haven't written yet. You know, abortion. How many people that are being aborted right now in the last 50, 40 years could have become a Flat Earther? Could have become somebody who, you know, is tired of the matrix, living in the system, starts to understand that this place is just full of lies, and you want to take a shower at the end of the night. You know, we have to start protecting our human brothers and sisters, black, white, orange, brown, yellow. It doesn't matter. We need to start sharing this flat earth message, because we are all on the same plane. We're all on the same infinite plane, in my opinion. And if every single one of us could have our own continent, and not just an island off the coast of Hawaii like all these rich people are buying up, all of those people who have been lost in the past could have been a truther to wake somebody up in their own way that led them to flat Earth.
Right on.
Josh, you said you're doing a talk on Wednesday. Do you mean Thursday or Wednesday before the conference?
Yeah, Thursday. I got my days mixed up, but there'll be a lot of talking, I'm sure, right, David? I mean, gosh,
You know,
I've heard that
you didn't go
it's
last
just
year,
like a
right?
bender. No.
It's a nonstop, just meeting new people. It's less than 50% about the presentations. I would say it's a lot less than 50%, but the presentations are great. And then the conversations afterwards are what it's all about. And everybody just, the energy, being around, you know, we're surrounded by sheep. We all know it. Josh, you're out there on the streets surrounded by, you know, let me say it, morons. And we used to be them a couple of years ago. And it's difficult. And being around, surrounded by, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people that are awake and aware, I can't describe how amazing it is and
So
how
awesome.
much. Yeah, and you know, there's some people saying, oh, this is diverting money from that could be used for other things.
Man.
No, it's not. It's giving more energy
and building community. Yeah, it's awesome.
It's building more energy. I went last year. I have so many new friends. I can't wait to see them. I can't wait to meet. There's not enough time to meet all these other people. It's going to be amazing. Josh, you going to make it to the billboard on Wednesday?
I should be landing at 7:30 Wednesday morning.
All right, so you're golden. So
I'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So anybody that's there, we're meeting at the hotel, heading out of the hotel a little after 2 o'clock for the billboard. Billboard meetup is like at 3, and so we'll all be carpooling, and we're going to try to make it a big scene, live stream. Karen, you should have somebody live streaming there for your channel. It'll be great.
What's the dates again on that?
The 15th and 16th. It's next Thursday and Friday. The billboard meetup is on Wednesday. Here's what I'm saying. Anyone that's in the USA that has the ability to get there, you're going to regret it if you don't go. And if you go, you'll be like, that was the greatest thing I've ever done. Being a flat earther, there's nothing out there for us right now. I mean, we're surrounded by scientism and lies and deception and people that don't care because they don't know. And I don't know. I'm super looking forward to it. Go ahead, Josh.
Have you, I'll say it first. Have you experienced a religious experience before? Could you compare the emotion at the conference?
You broke up a little bit. Say that again.
Have you had a religious experience before Flat Earth out there that might not understand what it's like to be around hundreds of like-minded people before?
Are you asking me if I've had a religious experience?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm asking you in regards, I believe in Christ 11 years ago or so, and then I got water baptized probably 6 months afterwards. So I consciously went through the process of believing in a creator God. I just so happen to believe that God manifested himself in the flesh and died for our sins, right? That's my experience here. And I am anticipating the experience to be around all those like-minded people, kind of same sense, being around other Christians who are on fire for God. I'm on fire for Flat Earth. I want to bring it, for the conference, and I want to be around other people who want to bring it in their own way.
It ignites people's flames even more. So you're on fire now. You're going to be exploding when you're there. It's just imagine walking outside, going to the grocery store, going to a restaurant, going wherever, and everyone around you is a flat earther.
Right.
Everyone. And nobody is looking at the game on the TV. Nobody. And nobody's talking about politics or weather or sports. And there's just this is what you do when you're at the conference and you're in an area where there's a lot of people. Just stop and listen to all the conversations going on around you. Just stop for a minute and listen. And it is mind-blowing what you hear. Mind blowing.
Mind blowing.
Yeah.
You're just like, yeah.
Hey, I
just
gotta step away for 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay.
Cool. There was a lady left a comment on one of Karen's videos a while back, Dave. She made a video. She was going out and with Post-it notes, writing "Research Flat Earth" on it and sticking them on cars, handwriting them.
Everything's great.
And I thought she deserves some of David Weiss's like.
Well, she's coming to the conference. I have lots of stuff I'm bringing.
Because I know you always packing, man. You're packing heavy.
Now, are you coming to the conference?
No, I'm going to be in Hawaii, man. I'll be watching. You guys have a good time. I'll be tuning in, maybe on a hangout or something.
It's all right. If you can make it, it's great. If you can't, just feel the
live
energy.
Stream it.
It's all good.
There's going to be a lot of it live streaming. Different people are live streaming. I know Poncho's going to have.
Wait, Poncho's going to do a live stream? That's crazy. Sarcasm.
You said about Sun and Moon streaming. Flat Earth Dudes hopefully might be able to sort someone out so that we, there who's at the conference to do that. Because he's not going.
I'm going to have to make a hard cutout in a couple of minutes, but I'll stay on as long as I can.
Yeah, I think they usually stream the conference anyway. Maybe I think Robbie Davidson does on the whatever stream that he has. But as far as the stuff going on inside the, not the conference room, but inside the lobby and stuff like that, that's something that would be cool.
There's a lot of stuff going on. It's streamed for free. There's there's a paid stream where you get a little bit more, but all of that stuff will end up on YouTube within hours. Hey guys, I gotta cut out. I gotta take care of some dinner.
Can I just say, Jason, you're very excited, about the conference.
Say again?
You're very excited.
I am. All right. Thank you. I gotta run.
David, thanks, man.
All right, you take it easy, Dave.
Yeah,
good talking to you.
See you. Bye.
Hey, Dave. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
See you. Bye. Bye, Josh. See you
Bye,
soon.
buddy.
Bye. Well, you'll be seeing him in a few days, won't you, Josh?
Well, you know what I like about
I can't wait to shake his hand.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I know he was at in one of the last meetups that Flat Earth Dude and I were at. Dave was there. Yeah. Also in Denver, what's nice about it, there's quite a few Flat Earthers already there. I know ODD's from Denver, and a few other people. Bob Nodell from the
Go Busters.
Yeah. So yeah, that should be fun.
Oh, it's going to be amazing, Josh. You're going to be freaking out, like David said. You walk around.
Yes, ISS is going. She's going. Alex Music Conspiracy's going. Dave Marsh is going. Obviously, Mr. Fry, Patricia, Mark DITRH, you. But we're not going.
Yeah. Like I said, I was going to go, but some stuff came up. But next time. Maybe they'll have one in LA next time.
Well, he's going to announce. Robbie Davidson will announce for the next one will be 2019 United States. So, who knows? Yeah, maybe it'll be in Alaska, right? So y'all can watch a 24-hour sunrise or.
That would be actually a pretty good idea.
Right? Can you imagine?
That would be good, wouldn't it? To actually be there so we can all see it.
It's going to be in LA, baby. Sorry, guys.
Well, I'm really
nice.
encouraged by the opportunity to be able to share this topics, because Flat Earth is really just kind of an accelerated intellectual conversation for a lot of people. A lot of people who are unaware of just want to sit back and listen to a typical Flat Earth for 15 minutes.
Right. It's funny when I introduced my son to the Flat Earth thing, and Flat Earth Dude's met my son before because my son's been with me to a couple meetups. He was into astronomy at one point, and for some reason wasn't interested in it anymore. But he likes the Flat Earth, even though there's a lot of things that he can't prove. He likes it, and I think more than anything, you'll find that flat earthers and other people that, if you want to call truthers, whatever, are a really good bunch of people. And I think that if anything that he got out of it were the people were really cool, regardless of what they believed in or whatever. And I would have to agree with him on that as well. I've met some really, really down to earth, real people that weren't fake. And more important to me than the shape of the earth is real people. And I've met the most real people because of the shape of the earth. So it's interesting, but everybody's really, really nice.
It's got to be a double-edged thing, because everything's double-edged, isn't it?
Right.
Well, you got that
right. Well, and what flat Earth really represents, I think, what I have come to find out, are two things. One is questioning authority, questioning education, questioning, the people who kind of run the show, and what you can and cannot talk about in public. Because if people's, worldview has been based on said prior things, then people start to get uncomfortable and they don't know really how to kind of respond because it's so provocative. It's almost as if you're like talking and like your grandma's mom could come in the door at any moment, or like somebody's listening in on your conversation.
All right, I got a question.
You have no idea. Yeah.
All right, so tonight with Spiros, quantum physicist, I think we're going to go around the horn and ask everybody on the panel and Spiros, what 3 tests would you do to prove globe or flat? What 3 tests would you like to see done? Because we're going to do a test with the physicist at some point. And mine was 2,700 feet of drop in an airplane flying at 500 miles an hour. I would like to see a vacuum chamber. I'd like to see a propulsion system work inside of a vacuum chamber. And the third one was take a giant telescope like the one they have right here in Mount Wilson, a 200-incher, and point it at a geostationary satellite. And let's take a look at that little bad boy that's only 26,000 miles away. So that was my 3 tests that would prove something to me. I don't know if it would prove a globe or what, but it might.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of globe heads can say, why don't you strap yourself onto a rocket, go straight up, and see if you hit the dome firmament? Well, are a lot of people willing to risk their life? Because if you're so space exists, why don't you do it? We'll both do it together. We'll hold hands, and we'll have our little emotional moment when we expect to hit the dome firmament, right? And cry and cry that we've donated our lives to science, because I feel pretty damn confident that you will hit something. Whether that's a thick brine type substance, where if you Google water underwater and you see literally some kind of a substance underwater in water that humans can't penetrate through, or literally a glass dome where if you knock on it, it reverberates hundreds of miles like thunder, then you got your choice. But it is not what they have prescribed to us for the last 60 years through Star Trek and Star Wars programming. It is not that. So you are not going to go back to that life. That life is dead. And a lot of people who are in college, who are millennials, who are young, growing up on Guardians of the Galaxies and Avengers, they have a wake-up call. And I can't coddle to that very long. If you're given the information to accept it, I walk away, I dust my sandals, and I go on to the next person. I have no qualms with that. They're harsh, but they're dead to me. If they want to continue to live in this reality, if my friends, family, and coworkers want to continue to live in this fantasy world that was created by it might as well just say Disney to an extent, then you just move on and you hope that they wake up in their own time. But I can't be a part of that. If they happen to come across a video that I did or a talk that I did, and that helps them wake up, but most likely your own friends and family are the most difficult to convey that message. So you hope that other people do it, because you might have the combination to open up and blossom the heart that is waiting for truth.
It's really strange, isn't it, to sort of be so liberated in so many ways, and in a sense we don't want to participate out there anymore, so it kind of isolates you a bit, because unless you find like-minded people or you're on a hangout. I used to be so social. I used to go I had a social club. We used to go out loads. I used to have parties at my house. I just don't want that anymore, because I know what the people are going to talk like.
Right.
Correct.
Well, I will say that sometimes you got to work people a little bit long term. You give them a little piece here and there. You don't want to pounce on your family, man. That ain't cool. You could just drop a seed or two. Ask them if they think the moon is 238,000 miles away. Just little things. You don't have to get up in their grill, and that's not a good idea, man. You need your family and your friends, but you can just keep it friendly, drop a hit here or there. I mean,
don't forget though, you're dealing with a very narcissistic society. It doesn't help, does it? No. It is that way, rather than to the love and peace and unity.
Right. Yeah. I know there was two things I never believed in ever since I was a kid. One, that we lived on a spinning ball, and the second was that Earth was 93 million miles away. All the other stuff would just fell in between, because I really didn't know about it a lot. But it's funny, I was talking to a few people before, I found this movement, and even some of them, it was hard for them to believe that the sun was 93 million miles away. So I'm not sure that a lot of people believe that, but sometimes people are just I think a lot of people just keep things to themselves, because they're just okay, well, they just live their lives, and sometimes people just don't tell you that they don't believe it. You know what I mean? Because they're well, what do I get out of it if I tell you, or whatever? With me, it was more of okay, well, I don't believe it. That's my business. And if someone asked me, I would say, that sounds stupid. And they'd be okay. I'm you believe that? And they would be well, yeah. I'm okay, to each their own. So I never made fun of anybody because they didn't agree with me. But I don't think other people should do the same. I think a lot of people are feel that they're shamed into believing something or going with something, even if they don't believe it. And I kind of think that's what that thing was. When Kanye West was going on his little trip, it was okay, Kanye West was well, I like Donald Trump. And people were well, are you an idiot? Are you stupid? Well, that's his belief. But he felt he had said something to the effect that people, I don't know if it was brainwashed. I can't remember what he said exactly, but it was they brainwashed him, or, it was holding his feet to the fire because of his beliefs. And whether you agree with somebody or not, they should have the right to believe what they want to believe, right? And so I think if more people felt that they would, they can believe what they want to believe without having to feel ashamed about it, more people will probably say okay, well, I think Earth is flat as well.
Do you think that there's a sense of urgency with flat Earth? Because if you had the understanding of immovable flat plane many decades before most of us, was there a sense of urgency back then? How did you communicate the message, and how is it different now?
You know what? No, I just kept it to myself. But I know when I would sit in class and I would hear people talking about this is how the story happened. For some reason, I was out in the playground, and I remember this conversation it was a month ago, even though it was in the 70s. I know that for a fact. I was born in '69, right? So a classmate of mine said, "Hey, do you believe that Earth is spinning?" And I looked at him, and I looked around for a minute and looked at him and said, "No, does it feel like we're moving?" He said, "I don't think so either." And then we just went back to doing our own thing. And then a couple times, and then what had happened was, so then I had looked at I remember maybe not too long after that, I was looking at a map, and I just kept looking at a map. I never really looked at the globe. because I honestly had always thought it was for decoration, and now it's funny that everybody says that's what it was. I thought globes were cool. Even to this day, I've seen like there's a shop in downtown LA that has these real nice looking ones, and I think they're neat looking for decoration. You know what I mean? It's not like I hate them. It's just, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm like, oh, I hate it because of the globe or nothing like that. You know, it's just like, you know, it was cute, but you know, I just didn't believe that that's what it was, right? And so I always thought it was for decoration. So I don't take it personally like some people, but I would look at a map, and I would have like a eraser, one of those ones, those bigger ones that you use to erase stuff, and I would say like, okay, I pretend I was on a plane, and I would say to myself, so if I went all the way to the end of the map, does that mean I would come back from the other side? And I was thinking about that, and I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. And so then I was like, okay, the land just must go on forever, infinity. And so that's just what I always thought. It never came up as a part of a conversation, so I never really talked to anybody about it. It was just something that I believed. I would always, if someone asked me a question, I would say, okay, I would go along with it because that's what, you know, if I had to take a test or something, I would write down the correct answers or whatever, but it wasn't like I believed it, you know, because it sounded silly to me. And it just, it was just unbelievable, but I never believed anything anyway. It could have been anything. And if it just sounded kooky to me, I just didn't believe it, but it was just my own personal thing. I never really argued about it. Then there was a time where when I was a teenager, I was thinking for a minute, what if Earth was like a flat, like a record or something? But then I said, well, that couldn't be it because I still didn't believe that we were moving. So I ditched that after a day. I was like, well, I still don't think we're moving. And then so I was just like, okay, well, and then I just left it at that. And a buddy of mine who lives in Denver, like I said, he had a few years ago said, hey, because we were already talking about religion, politics, this, that, whatever. We talked about all kinds of things. And he said, so what do you think about this flat earth thing? And he's like, this flat earth? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you know, there's people that think the earth is flat. And I'm like, oh, I have no interest in that. I already think it is anyway. I was more interested in learning something I didn't already know. And if I already agreed with people, I didn't feel that I had to sit there and look into it because it was like, well, you're just preaching through. And so then one day I was just like, okay, like a year or so later, I was like, let me just take a look at a couple of videos. And I started watching them. And some of these videos were looking at flat earth in a way that I didn't, because I just didn't believe it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't have, and there was no reason. I had no backing, no information saying why I didn't believe it. It just, other than it just sounded stupid to me, and that was it. So then I was watching stuff, and I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. I never knew that. And so then it kind of like reinforced what I had thought, and I was like, huh, well, maybe I wasn't the only goofy person around all the time. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how that worked with me.
And
that's cool,
Josh, what was it for you then that did it for you? What was it one day you suddenly, because he's in that wave of 15 to 16 years. Are you there, Josh? You're muted, Josh.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I had to step away for a second. I didn't want to interrupt Stephen, so.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, it is kind of interesting because I've talked to a lot of people who have had flat Earth kind of on their mind in the last couple of decades, but it seems like with the resurgence of, gosh, you know, like truth consciousness coming through, like a wave, a frequency or a vibration that just starts to resonate with people. I think a lot of people are kind of, quote, gravitating, right, to that because it just feels right. It feels like you're home and you know, kind of have been lost all the time. And I used to kind of rag on people who previously knew about flat Earth, and they're like, no, I kind of kept it to myself. And I guess that's kind of, you know, inappropriate for me to think that way, just because of my own personal spirit, where I would be like, I would be telling everybody. I would just be like, yeah, this, that, or the other, just to maybe not purposefully try to be provocative, but just to kind of shake things up a little bit. But I'm happy that we have the people aboard that we do, and it's really awe-inspiring.
That is awesome.
Sorry, I'm answering something. What was he? Hatter rules. He says, sorry for the kids who have parents who teach their kids flat earth is the end. Guess what? They're probably going to be bullied. And I'm just saying, well, I'm going to write back in the chat room, we want our children to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that we kind of have to understand that the educational system, as we see it right now, is quite polluted with an agenda, clearly. So if we as, flat earthers, like-minded people, awake people, we will have to start to change the educational system within. And if that means homeschooling and possibly coming up with at least our own curriculum of creation, and to say that, Ken Hovind, a great man, he did his role on me for sure 7 or 8 years ago. I got into his creationism DVDs and stuff, before he went through his old alleged tax problems and went to prison for it. But if we all can come to an understanding of creation, whether you believe in the biblical God or not, I would say most flat earthers are kind of leaning towards a creator. Some are agnostic for sure. Lois, God bless her. Thank you for coming out and doing activism with me. She would come to the conclusion that she's agnostic about, a creator right now. And that's great, but she's a flat earther and she knows truth and she understands the deceptions that are going on here in this reality. So we have to present creation as I'm just going to say it. This is my viewpoint as an infinite plane created specifically for us. We have domain over this place, but it's being withheld from us. Well, what else is out there? And maybe we need an expedition to be kind of like a Christopher Columbus. I'll just use that narrative so people just can understand. But, if we collectively come together as a wealth of nations and do an expedition to go find more land, then maybe outer space, instead of going to Mars, right? It says that it allegedly takes us 8 months to get to Mars. Well, if outer space is outer space horizontally and the Earth goes on infinitely forever, we might need a boat, just because we might not be able to carry all the airplanes. But if we have a boat that maybe could land airplanes on it, like an aircraft carrier, and traverse 9 miles out or 9 months out, 10 months out to find more land, and then we come back and we say, this is what we've discovered, we need to have genuine people with integrity to tell the world this is what we found and not withhold that information like they did in the late 50s, allegedly with Admiral Byrd.
Because I just thought him, if everything's the wrong way round, he's not talking about Antarctica, he's talking about the North. And we were talking about it the other day. There's actually more land up there. They used to show more land up there on the globes, which isn't there anymore. But anyway, sorry, carry on.
I'm all about the North Pole. You guys can have Antarctica and the South Pole and all that. Personally, I want to know why our compasses point north first. That's kind of where I stand. I talk about traveling south 9 months, 10 months, for a year to explore more land that way. But if I could really get what I wanted, I would go north and explore that, especially if there's vegetation and that may or may not be where we were all created. And if you travel further and further away from the quote Garden of Eden, I feel like you're traveling further and further away from, a lot of Christians will hate this term, the source, and you're kind of getting into a human's own desires and nature. Yes, they do restrain themselves and police themselves in regards to stealing another person's property, stealing somebody's wife, or, murdering somebody with the intent to murder. Yes, we police ourselves in that regard. But we do become more and more debased as we travel further and further away. So maybe traveling further and further away from the north isn't such a good idea. You know what I mean? Like going towards Antarctica and setting up shop down there. I think that we need to collect our money together, get a good group, and find out why our compasses point north.
Yes. Well, I don't think we're lying the way that they say we are. If the Orkney Islands can get the midnight sun and Denmark can get the midnight sun, why doesn't Aberdeen at the top of Scotland get midnight sun? Right. The Orkney Islands aren't that, well, they are away, but they're not that far from Scotland.
Right. You know what? I don't believe the maps are correct anyway. I never believed any map was completely accurate. So that's why, and I think the problem that a lot of flat earthers have is, and I see some of these debates and different things, is somehow we have to figure out how, if you're going to debate anybody on some platform, it's like we're trying to debate a group of people using their model. You know, I don't know if that makes sense or not, right? It's like we really need to. We're debating them, assuming that the map that they have is right, and that's why it's never going to work in our favor. So we have to figure out how things work on our own.
Can I just say, Paul on the plane is in the chat room at the moment. I'm just writing to him because I forgot, because he's in Ireland, the same time zone as me. But he would like to say, hi, Josh. Obviously, he's going to be where you are next week at the Denver meeting. Yeah, for you.
Well,
hey, Paul. How you doing, Paul? Cheerio.
Did you hear that, Josh? I don't know if Josh heard that. I was just saying, Paul on the plane is in the chat room, and he says, hi, Josh, because you're meeting him next week.
I'm going to give him a big hug. He's a hugging guy. I always say,
there you go.
I always say give you a handshake and stuff, but that's just, that's just something that you say. But really, I'm so encouraged by everybody's input in this community for the last 3 years. I mean, we're all seniors in college, and it looks like we're going to be fifth-year seniors because we're not ever going to be able to, we don't ever want to leave this, university. What do we do after Flat Earth?
Paul put his hug back to you, Josh. Paul's giving you a hug back.
That's great. Yeah, just give up. It's going to be, the emotion is going to be so magnetic and just so it's going to permeate through that conference. Mm-hmm. People that work at the Crown I think they're going to be overwhelmed with the elatedness, just it's going to emanate through everybody that's there. And, the bartender and the waitress, the hostess staff, they're going to know about Flat Earth when we leave there for sure. And they will have no excuse after we investigate. Give me one minute, I got to step away for a second.
Okay. So I'm just Dave Trinity 4.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So they're gonna have are they gonna go to some after party bar, I think, on Friday night or something? And David Weiss will show up, and he'll have a suitcase full of stickers, and that place isn't going to know what hit him.
Right. Yeah, but they just can't stay at the hotel, though. There's a bunch of really cool places in Denver that you guys are going to want to check out. Like I said, that's one of my hometowns. So Denver is a city that you want to explore.
Yeah,
it's a really
got
cool
that
place.
A whole little cute little downtown area. It's
yes,
really cute as hell, man.
Yeah, 16th Street.
Oh, bars and clubs and restaurants.
Yeah, from there down to Lambert.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of people down there that's open to a lot of different things too.
Yeah,
so
very kind of open-minded stuff going on. So you guys will have fun. It's just going to be crazy, man. I know that, a lot of people are going, and I know how they'll be spreading the word. And like I said, that hotel doesn't know what's about to hit them next week. They're going to all hear about Flat Earth, man. Upside down, backwards, every which way you can think of. It will be a giant flat activism going on everywhere in Denver.
Yeah, the conference itself is just a giant advertisement.
Yeah. Right. That's pretty much what it is.
If I got to pay however much money to get out there for a ticket and lodging and stuff, and there's a part of my heart that's just like, I wonder what Robbie Davidson's going to do with this extra money that he's getting. Wonder if he's going to buy a house or a car or a new lawnmower. What if Robbie gets enough money to buy himself a snowmobile and go on the mountains of Colorado and go big rip? I personally, if I feel like I got to go in there with that type of intent to have to question the motives behind it, I really think that Flat Earth in itself is losing a lot of momentum, because then people who are outside of the community who are not Flat Earthers see people within their own club, if you will, questioning motives of people who are running conferences. How are you any different than a, quote, religious organization? How many Christian sects do you have? You have Catholicism, you have Mormonism, you have Jehovah's Witnesses, Scientology, Islam, Judaism, so on and so on. All of those people have their own little divisive groups within themselves. So how are Flat Earthers any different if they turn around and start pointing fingers at people who are trying to bring a large amount of people who are all like-minded together? I mean, I think that the whole message is losing its point. I don't think that's the point. If the point of Flat Earth is to be to make money off of it and pay your bills or whatever, that's up to you. That's between you and the creator. And if I believe in a creator that will judge you and your heart for your intent, when I don't know what your intent is, I can wash my hands and I can go through my own role. I can do what I need to do and what I'm being led to do without any worries. Because Flat Earth is truth. Water finds its own level when stagnant, when it's not flowing and moving because it's not level. That's the truth. So whatever a person says or whatever their motive is for getting into Flat Earth, whether they want to ride the wave to make a couple more thousand views or subscribers so then they can move on to gaming later on after Flat Earth isn't Zubas anymore, let them have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of judging people like that either, because sometimes people, this is all they do. And I understand that people need to make a living while getting the message out. And I've heard people complain about other people because, okay, they're making money or their channel or they're doing or they're paying people for wrenches or whatever in their on their channel or for any type of thing. I think that if you're taking the money and not offering anything, that's a different story. But if you're, like you say, bringing people together, I think that's a really, really great thing. And the hotels aren't going to sit there and let you use it for free. So you need to make some, you know what I mean? Yeah, so you have to cover your costs.
You have to cover the cost of a conference during a weekday. Now, the Flat Earth International Conference on November 15th and 16th is during a weekday. It's not a weekend. So, if Robbie wants to disclose how much he's paying during the weekday as compared to what it would be like on a weekend, that's totally up to him. Well, who's going to cover those costs? And if Flat Earth is, you can't go to Comic-Con for free, right? You can't go to your local Trekkie convention for free.
Yeah, that's true.
So if it's something that everybody wants to be into, that's great. Are you going to see somebody dressed up in Star Wars garb complaining that he had to pay $250 to get his ticket? Of course not. He wants to go there. He wants to be around people who are like-minded. And so the people who aren't going, who either A, can't afford it, or B, think there's ulterior motives, there is a difference between those people, because I see a lot of people say, gosh, I wish I could go to be with all of you people.
Yeah.
Then what about the people that aren't going because they have some kind of bitterness towards it? And I don't agree with that.
Just a bunch of shells, man.
Yeah, I heard. I was listening to a debate one time.
Material, don't they, dude?
That's right. No, it's a great thing. You're getting together anytime. I mean, I remember my first Flat Earth meetup. I couldn't wait. I was coming out of my shoes. I was like, dude, I'm going to go meet a bunch of Flat Earthers. This is amazing. And to think you're going to go maybe meet 300 or 100 of them, 200, 300, however many are going to be there, I think it's going to be huge.
Which one was your first one?
It was a place called Palmdale out here.
Oh, no. Okay, that's the one I met you at, because I live in Palmdale.
Right, I met you there. Yeah, that was my first one.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's me. Hold on a second.
I can't see right now. I'm driving, but yeah, we met. You know, it was just amazing. So to go and spend, 2.5 days, 3 days, if you're staying Saturday or whatever, I'm sure there'll be some people getting together for breakfast Saturday morning or something, So it's really going to be 3 full days of Flat Earth, man. That's amazing.
What's up, Tony?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Flat Earth, Steve, Joe Mama and Lucy Lemons are in the chat room.
I'm not looking at the chat, so I haven't looked at the chat.
What's up, Lucy?
Hello, everybody in chat. I haven't looked in the chat, so I don't know who has or hasn't been in there recently, but whether you are pro or against or still on the edge of your seats and can't decide, hello to you.
Yeah. Can't wait. But, I'll be tuning in for some of the live streaming. I think Poncho's got a couple people going.
Well, this place where Earth Dude's going today, this physicist, it was really strange because lifting the lid, Robin, who comes in our chat room, he goes, he's helping out with the Globe Live tour. He interviewed one as well, and when I listened to that, these physicists had nothing to say.
No, there's a lot of theories.
Yeah, what's up, man? You called me.
A lot of imagination.
Oh, but yeah, it was on 10th Street at this apartment complex.
I can hear you, Steve.
It's on 10th Street, on 10th Street East.
Anyway, so we're gonna meet up with this physicist. We're gonna come up to.
No, if you walk, you'll see the sign. If you walk in, it's on the same side of the street as Thai Palms. If you go from the apartment and walk, there's an apartment called the Palmdale Gardens.
You're talking.
It's not me.
Palmdale Gardens, man. It's right on 10th Street on the right-hand side of the street.
Can you mute Stephen, Karen?
Yeah, I'll just turn him down.
I don't think he knows. Okay. But hey, I wanted to kind of
come here and I'll talk to you when you get here
a little bit in regards to what Stephen was mentioning earlier about the maps and how things probably aren't the way that they are, right? In regards to a model, and I don't get too many comments regarding the AE map or what I am kind of presenting in public,
right?
And I kind of want to defend that a little bit, because I think people still need some kind of a visualization to understand what a flat Earth would look like. And I'm not defending the AE map or the Gleasons or what we even see in Hollywood in the backdrop most of the time in some of these movies. Not just a globe, but also the AE map you'll see on the wall.
Right.
In Wonder Woman, you see a flat Earth map. And so they are kind of funny. They are kind of playing around with the mentality and the kind of sheepedness of the public, where they see reality in front of them with the flat Earth map, But then they also kind of fool you in these cop dramas where you got the sergeant in the back talking to his deputy, and there's a globe in the background, and it has nothing to do with the storyline, but there's a globe there. So I still think that presenting, you know, a model in regards to the AE map, I don't have anything wrong with it, as long maybe if it's up to you, and I'm not, you know, the priest of flat earth, but you just convey and say, hey, this may or may not be right. It might change the land masses in regards to where they're at, and their location could change in the future. But we all, as a human race who are educated and have a maybe at least a high school education, know what America looks like. Like, you could draw America blindfolded on a piece of paper, right? So if that's what they're giving us, if that's what the establishment has kind of agreed upon, you know, history is a lie agreed upon, and that's our history of what we feel like is Africa, let's roll with it. You know, I mean, we could all agree to disagree regarding how much the earth is populated with water too. I'm not going to split hairs with the globe head and, you know, say, well, no, the earth is 72% water. No, it's this or that. Well, let's just say 70%. 3/4 of the earth is water. How do you have a ball without curvature? There has to be curvature to have a ball. And if water always finds its level, and if the majority of the object is water, it has to be flat. Like, that is that is the end result that you're going to come to. Now, where those land masses are and everything, yeah, it could totally be changed. It could just be something to humor us or whatever. But I don't know. I don't have a problem now when you get into like dome, snow globe, Truman Show, an end. I can't agree with that just because of what Job says in the Bible, where the earth cannot be measured. The earth is like God's thoughts, where it cannot be measured. In Job 11, I think it is. So I don't think the earth has ever been measured. I think that there still is infinite land and infinite water, and it goes on forever. So.
Hey, just to say, the Horry Sheet Show is here as well.
Hello, sir. I can't wait to give you a big hug. Just hugs around. It's going to be great.
Horry?
Horry? Yep. Horry is in the house.
Horry in the
What's
house.
up, man? Good to see you, bro.
Horry's in the house.
Yeah, you're going to meet Josh. You're going to meet Josh next week.
Thanks. They almost should have went now.
Yeah. I almost don't want it to happen, so then, because I know it's going to end.
I know that feeling, yeah. Also got Caroline right here.
Hello,
there she
Caroline.
Hello, my lady.
There she is.
Hey, hello.
Good to see you.
Yeah, what's happening, Caroline?
Hello.
Josh is doing
Just hi, it's beautiful music.
We got a ukulele or something?
Never leave home without one. They're easy to carry. They're small. They fit in the front seat. I like it.
There you go.
So I'm a little
Hi, Kenny.
early.
How are you? Hi, Karen.
Good, Caroline. How are you doing?
I am so freaking excited.
I know,
I feel
you
like this
guys
is,
are
I told Mark, this feels like the week before Christmas to me.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well,
It's
going to be so
Christmas
much
of
fun.
politics today.
Yeah, squirrel. Squirrel. Sorry.
You know, somehow, speaking of politics, those freaking Republicans that I used to vote for somehow got my phone number, and I have been getting texts all week long. Get to the polls, hurry. Your vote counts. We need your support, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't matter how many phone numbers that I say stop or I block them, there's always more. They just keep texting me.
Yeah. Yeah, don't give them your number. Don't do that.
I didn't think I did. I don't know how they got it.
So let me just bring that up. If flat earthers were to do that, would the flat Earth community have a problem with people cold calling people, and asking them questions about our reality or so, and like come up with some kind of a script per se? What would the community think about that, cold calling people for flat Earth?
You can do it, Josh, because what you do is, because I did it for a company for a little while, it was to do Dyson maintenance. But really, what you do is, we were ringing out with a no number. You can say what you say, they can't get back to you. They don't like it. So that's a sort of the back way in, because obviously once you put the phone down, they don't know the number. But it is a way of doing it. If you wanted to do it, you just do it with a no number.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm just trying to, get the feelers out about how, hoity-toity, how like Starbucks, proper people want to be in this community, or do you want to be aggressive in regards to this message, or do you want to kind of step back and just be like, hey, I'll share this message, when I can, with the people that I feel I should or already.
I don't know. I know how I feel when people call me and I feel like they're trying to sell me something. And I think people think we're trying to make money off of this and trying to sell them shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a message that needs to be sold, but it does need a speaker. It does need somebody to have the genuine purpose behind what it is that they want to get out of it. And if your genuine aim is to share flat Earth so that they get on board, later on, or right now, then we need some kind of and I don't mean to use, I guess I do mean to use the religious term, discipleship. There are some people out there who flat Earth is the first conspiracy they've ever looked into. What do you do with those people?
Right.
Where do you send them? So I don't know. I'm just, some of the points that I'm trying to deliver at the conference during the time that I'm privileged to have in front of all you wonderful people is, at what extent do we want activism to go to, and what are the limitations that we as a community feel comfortable sharing? Because clearly we have flat Earth on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, right? But really interacting with the public, talking to them, showing them that this is a message that needs to be shared to them. Oh, don't bother me, I'm watching the Vikings game right now. You're going to get those people, but what is it, 3 or 4 times a person hears something, it takes them till they investigate it?
Yeah.
So if we have everybody, going around dropping, pamphlets at their server station, the barista, wearing a T-shirt at the mall, these are people who are confident in having a conversation after the fact, right? So if you're wearing a flat Earth T-shirt and somebody says something to you, you should be prepared for a response. Give a testimony of why you think the way that you think, and go from there. And I think that as we as a community share, our various ways of communicating this message, it will start to get to a point where, maybe mainstream will have to stifle or change their tactics. I don't know. Because I see a lot of people out in the flat Earth community saying, flat Earth won't ever go mainstream.
The thing is, on here right now, there's a lot of activism people. I mean, Caroline goes to meets, Horry does flat smacking, Steve goes to meets, Patricia helps me on this channel, flat Earth dudes interviewing physicists and being our reporter come cameraman. There's you who does street activism, all doing activism. All it's in our blood now. But it doesn't mean everybody else sees it like that, though, do they?
Yeah. Especially the new people, you know, because the new people that are hearing about it for the first time are going to say two things. Why is it important? And why? You know, there's no way that the government could ever lie to us about something so massive. And what's the big deal, right? Like, how does that change my life?
What is your response when they ask that? How does it change my life? Or how would it change my life? What would you say?
You know, it is difficult to convey that message because it really comes down to experience, right?
Sure.
Like how it affects me is I understand, I have comprehended and come to a conclusion that this place is just full of deception. And if we can be lied to about who we are, where we come from, and who created us, then really we could be lied to about anything because we're just so naive. We offer up so much vulnerability to the people who we quote vote in today that we assume that they're going to do the right thing. But unfortunately, lobbyists and money really run the politics world. And so when you have corporations that then start to get their hands into it, they have their own agendas. It is a massive, thought, I guess. But what really matters is getting the message out there, because then they heard it and then they have to kind of deal with the repercussions. So, you know, with that long-winded answer, I can't convey a message that will convince anybody. I guess the only thing in regards to activism where somebody could say, why does it matter? I could say, well, my testimony of me being here in front of you, I hope shows why it matters, because I used to be just like you, kind of going through the motions, waiting for the weekend and experiencing the, you know, kind of like, you know, you get done with your 40-hour-a-week job and you can't wait to get home and just relax and veg out and watch The Voice, right?
Right. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think that, because I know you mentioned religion a lot, is the flat earth a religious thing for you? Is it more of a confirmation that there's a creator to you, just to verify that? Like, I'm not religious, but I'm cool with whatever people want to believe in. The more I look at religion, the more I think people are looking at the same thing, but they don't realize it. But as somebody that's not really religious, but I still think that earth is flat, you know, I might look at it differently as somebody that's religious. Because I know at the last conference, you know, I know a lot of the religious people, I mean, there was some religious stuff going on at the conference. And I think that not all flat earthers, because not all flat earthers are religious, I think sometimes I don't know if it's cool to mix the two, because then I think you kind of alienate some, if that makes sense.
I totally am on board with that. To me, I guess kind of go back to when you were saying, well, yeah, why does it matter? Well, it kind of has seared, you know, like when you are branding an animal, right, to show that it's yours, you would brand an animal with a hot iron, right? You'd have your logo and you'd put it on the side of the cow. Yeah, the cow's this is gonna hurt Mary, you know, your cow's name is Mary, and then you brand it. This has been a branding for me for sure, to kind of confirm that there is a creator. Yes, 11 years ago, before I became a flat earther, I would consider myself a follower of Christ, and I still am. It has amplified that belief to know that there really is literally a spirit watching me, and it polices. I have a certain policing of my heart, whereas before I didn't, and it has magnified that for sure. But I'll tell you what, get a homosexual, get a black, get a Catholic, and get a child together. Let's all go to the ocean. We could all see that water lays flat. Okay? Water lays flat. That is human nature. That is something that we all can observe in creation, that water lays flat. So how is it that we got tricked into believing that we live on a sphere, right? Well, we got tricked into believing that we live on a sphere because of education, because of another agenda. And that agenda, I think, was to hide creation. And if you can hide creation, you can hide the creator.
Right. Amen. That's what it's all about, man. They're hiding that. That's the number one thing they're hiding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe
And then, yes.
They just have to control it. That's their main aim, is just to control somehow.
They're control freaks, for sure. Yes, they want to control everything, which is why, you know, you watch something on the news during your local broadcast or national news. I step back and I say, gosh, can I really believe that? Because I've talked to crisis actors, right? I have talked to crisis actors while doing my activism at the lake, and the establishment is showing that they will provide money to people who are willing to take it to do something. Now, whether they are aware of that or not, that they're changing public perception, I don't know. But you show me a group of 1,000 people who can traverse 1,000 miles and still look like they could show up on a GQ model magazine. You know, give me a break. Who's providing money to these people? When I played Oregon Trail and I traveled over a state, I had somebody with typhoid fever, right? You know, back in the day, I'm playing Oregon Trail. I had my whole family dying when I'm trying to traverse from one side of the country to the other. But now we have an alleged caravan right now that's traversing 1,000 miles, and they all have shaven beards, and they look like they just ate. You know, so I mean, you could just even question that. I mean, just to question that, your First Amendment right is always going to be offensive when you start questioning the establishment.
Oh yeah, yeah, they don't like that.
But we need to question. There needs to be people like us who question the narrative to keep the establishment in check. Now, how many people are willing to go to jail for that, right? Will jail keep people silent? Yes, of course it will. Will losing your job and not being able to provide for your family at this company that you work for? Yes, that will stifle you.
The
right?
layers,
And we all know that.
on and on and on and on, don't they? The layers of crap and lies and deceit, and it's like what I've kind of worked out is they've kind of put us either like in a boot camp or in some kind of con. It's all about controlling all the time. I mean, when you make people believe in a reality that doesn't exist, it makes people believe it. Believe it's not real. We all did, but we did that. So it's not real. It's not real. That's taking your freedom away. Because now people are believing space is real, and then one day we're going to be living on Mars or something.
Yeah. Yeah, they have pushed that idea of Mars, going to Mars in the late 2020, 2025, 2027. And when the scientific community comes together on mainstream, like TED Talks, for example, TED Talks are presented as real. Like, this is a legitimate topic to talk about. Now, whether that be AI, 5G, or other various topics that you can find on TED Talks, yes, they are very stimulating. But when they start traversing and traveling into outer space imagination, that's where I start to get a little livid, because they're lying to children. They're propagating a storyline that's not real. And they've been doing it for decades, and they show it on TV, in movies, and in entertainment. The youth today don't care about politics. They don't care about voting. The majority of the youth pay attention to what's being on the music, on your local radio station, and what celebrities are doing, because that's social media. Right. If politics were part of social media, they might have a little bit more of a platform, but the youth today are continually giving away their rights ignorantly and naively to people that they've never met before. And they trust their integrity and what they're saying because they spent more $100,000 in student loans and debt than I did, so they have to know what they're talking about. Well, that couldn't be any more further from the truth. And again, with water being level, that, can start to make you think about how the Earth cannot be a ball. Well, if you start to think that that is true, then the luminaries in the sky aren't anything that we could ever go to. So to use that as a means to make imagination, you know what? That's fine. Let's do that. If you want to create Hollywood as a means to have imagination, be entertained, whatever, but there needs to be a disclaimer at the beginning and say this is not a possibility of reality. This is not true. So don't walk away thinking that you're going to be a NASA astronaut.
It's disgusting to do that to the people. It's disgusting.
It's a crime. It's a thought crime is what it is.
It's sinister.
Treason.
Yeah.
It's a thought crime to do that to children, because those children then become adults. And when those children become adults, then they start to have their own independence. And if all these people at these universities that I go to, all the people that Dude sees in California, and Harry, John Smith, Globely, and Roxanne have met over the past couple of weeks, if that collective believe in the science that is the outer space imagination, where do we don't have a leg to stand on, and that's a tough hill to climb. So we have to somehow affect the educational system. I don't know what that entails. I don't know. I don't know what it is that's going to happen a couple years from now, but I do know what we need to do now, and we need to prepare for the conference, because that is an unbelievable platform for Flat Earth, and we need to allow a lot of grace to the people that are going, okay, that are presenting, okay, and the people that have given Flat Earth material 3 or 4 years ago. We need to give them some grace, and just, it's like going to Christmas or Thanksgiving with your family, and you don't get along with your cousin, right? It's Christmas. Just get along with them for that day, right?
Right. Yep. Give them some respect and keep your mouth shut if you have to, or whatever, and get along with them. It's going to be great, man. That conference is going to be unbelievable. The amount of attention this thing's getting is going to be great. From the flat earthers like myself and Karen and people that are not going are going to be able to live stream and watch it, and we're going to be able to get people there on Hangouts and just get the word out that this thing is huge.
Josh and Horry are all going to meet each other next week.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And Stephen, I hope that kind of, ties up. I try to tie up that thought about, is Flat Earth religious or not?
Right.
It might be for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so.
Clearly the majority of the I don't want to say majority, I guess at least the people who are organizing the conference have had a religious experience and do deem the Bible as the truth and inspiredly written by our Creator. So if you got to allow a little grace for those people, what do you say about that, Stephen? What do you think is going to happen then?
I think it's okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just a little bit muffly.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, can you hear me? Is that a little better?
Still a little bit muffly.
Okay. If I cut off for just 1 second, it's because I'm actually got this insurance company on the line. They're kind of goofy, so I gotta. If I just step off for 1 minute, it's because they finally got me off a hold.
That's
okay,
better.
Okay, there we go. No, the reason why I asked is because I know there were some flat earthers last year that were there. I think one of them might not have been Christian, might have been Muslim or something else, and kind of felt like out of place. When you start talking the flat earth thing is one thing, but when you start, if let's say you have somebody there that represents Islam or something else, and if it's only a Christian thing, then they might take it personal. That's all.
Well, I I guess all I can say about that is let's get flat Earth out there as
Right.
the truth here on the human race, and then we'll duke it out afterwards and have Armageddon about who's the creator is, right? I mean, let's be real here. I mean, if we can come together as the human race who can believe in all these different things and say that yes, water lays flat and level and outer space is not real, so let's maybe explore. If you're a Muslim or you're a Hindu or a Buddhist, you know, you have kind of new agey type ideas, and I, for example, believe in the Bible, we might have to just kind of agree to disagree for a while until flat Earth is, quote, mainstream.
Right. Yeah, and I don't have a problem with that because I don't ever mix any of my views anyway. It's like for me, I just agree with whatever I agree with. But I know like sometimes some people, and I've heard people say, well, you know, they went to learn flat Earth and then was like, then it got kind of preachy or something, and it was like, and some people felt that they probably could have left that part out at the conference, is what I was saying. That's what I'd heard some people say in regards to last year. I don't. Hold on one second.
Yeah, and I didn't go to the conference last year. All I heard was what happened. Somebody kind of, you know, may or may not have interrupted or, you know, made a scene, and you know, if that might happen. Somebody might have a passion about what is being said, because the identity of a creator is important to us as human beings. I feel like, just this is my opinion, that we are spiritual beings experiencing a physical reality. You know, so I am Joshua here in this vessel that looks, this is me. Like, I project in my spirit what I manifest physically. You know, so I'm a scrawny kid. You know, I don't look a day over 22 years old, but I'm really 37. And I just have a way of communicating flat Earth that seems to resonate with a lot more people. Whereas people who do just YouTube videos, they're able to compile a video together that's 5 or 10 minutes long, and that resonates with people because that's what some people need, is an observational truth instead of hearing it. And then you have documentaries, 2 or 3 hour long documentaries that are in the initial Flat Earth 101 message that can be conveyed. Well, once you get into Flat Earth, the creation and the creator question have to be resolved in your heart. And when you can kind of come to a conclusion, like I have personally, that our creator is a judger of no partial person. Like, there's nobody better or worse off than anybody here on earth as a human being. We all make mistakes, but I do believe in a creator God that manifested himself as a human being and lived a perfect life, never did anything wrong towards anyone else, whereas me, I screw up all the time. And so I believe in a spirit that did that never screwed up, that always had the right intent behind everything that he ever did and thought and said. And all I'm trying to do is just try to be a witness to that, because I do believe in flat Earth. I do know that water lays level. I do know the NASA deception and trying to create an environment above us that doesn't exist. And so we are going to have to be intellectually wise people, respectful. If you believe in a Hindu god, or you have your own personal god that you feel resonates with you in your own personal life, we can sit on a couch, drink some coffee, shake hands, and walk away and respect each other when we depart. And I have no problem with that. But yes, land grabs will happen in the future. And I think that, you know, the rich are getting to a point where they are kind of doing land grabs. They're harvesting water. They're keeping things from the less fortunate right now. And I say less fortunate being blue collar people that make $40,000 a year. You know, you're losing out on what possibly could be.
They're getting us just basically on medication. We're eating plastic when really we could be using the fruits of the land, the vegetables, the plants, and you know, wives' tales are more real than they're supposed to be just wives' tales. So you think, oh, this isn't real, but that stuff's more real. And scientists are crap. And oh my goodness.
You bring up a great point, because you know what, Stephen? You bring up religion. I'll tell you another controversial. I don't want to say quarrel, but I do see a lot of vitriol between these two sides: meat eaters and vegans. You know, in the flat Earth community, there are a lot of vegans and there are a lot of meat eaters, and I feel like as much division has been shown regarding non-believers in the Bible, but believers in a creator, there is just as much in regards to meat eaters and vegans, and how to respectfully use sustainable resources. I still believe that we are able to have dominion over the earth. Yes, we should respect animals. We should, if you're gonna kill them, you should respect that, and it should not be put to mass production. But also, to turn eating habits into a religion, I think, is something that we need to keep ourselves in check. You know, I think that there is a lot to not judging a person by what they eat. If it's available right now, it is difficult for a person to say no if it's available to them in the supermarket. Now, whether that be sushi or you know, buying cow liver or something like that. I saw an interesting documentary recently called "Eating Animals." It's got Natalie Portman does the narrative to it. I thought it was very interesting. Did it convict my heart enough to say no to meat eating? I'll tell you guys, it's difficult. It's just, I don't know, you know, and I don't feel like I should have to defend my meat eating to the flat Earth community, because I feel like people know my heart. But also, I understand the other side of the coin, that we do need to have more respect for animals. But what is a chicken going to do for the rest of its life? What is the purpose of a chicken? Are you going to domesticate it? Are you going to let it go freely and kind of buck, 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 buck around? Like, what are you going to do with that chicken or that cow? You know, clearly a particular group of people have, you know, have cows all over the place. You know, but let's be real here. Like, what are we going to do with these animals if we all become vegan? You know, are we going to have pigs and domesticated as if they're, you know, a dog, and start having the Westminster Pig Show because we have pigs all over the place, and we're going to just dress them up and, you know, prance them around like a dog show? I mean, so what if we all go vegan, what are the roles of these animals that we are using as meat right now? That's my question. So,
yes, I understand, because I mean, we can say, hey, we're flat tomorrow and everything's changed, we're all vegans, and then we get another set of problems.
Correct. Yeah, where is it going to end, really? I mean, you know, human beings are always going to find a reason to A, complain, B, covet. They want something that's not theirs. It's very clearly explained in the book of James that you war with each other for what? What are you warring over? Well, you want this because your neighbor has that. Well, you know, maybe there is more land, you know, but clearly there needs to be a governing body of integrity. And we're not seeing any integrity in the government officials and the entities that are in place right now, because we give $52 million a day to one particular entity, and that could be used for many other things. Every year, the retirement age here in America goes up 2 months. You know, so now it's something like, you know, 67 years old to retire. Well, what does that mean? Well, allegedly, there's a pot of gold at the end of the tunnel for you that may or may not exist in 10 years from now if you plan on retiring. Well, what if we took all that monies from NASA and put it into something like Social Security? Maybe call it something else, you know, but it has to be some kind of a retirement fund, and it has to be cut significantly shorter, 45, 50 years old, because why should you ever have to work 2/3 of your life to then just live 10 years and then statistically die off? That's not fair for anybody. Why would anybody want to work more than half of their life away? More what I want on my flat earth.
I agree with you totally on that one. When you wake up, you realise all this, what everything means. I wish I'd realised it younger, to be honest.
Well, and that's what I think activism, again, it goes back to activism. If we're able to affect the youth, you know, if I was 22 years old and I had a flat earther come up to me and hand me a pamphlet, who knows what would happen, right? I mean, so if we have to go back in time, if you will, you know, if we have to go back 20 years to where, you know, I'm 18 again, what would I do if I had a flat earther come up to me? How would I convey the message of flat earth to this stranger on the street that would get them to look into it? You know, whether that be a pamphlet or whatever, but you might have to speak to them. And so if we have to continually think like, okay, how are we going to get the youth involved in flat earth? You know, and I think in the school system, some children are challenging their teachers, because if we can get children to challenge their teachers, much like Harry met a teacher while he was doing the tour, and he had conviction about continuing to teach the globe lie and outer space as being true. So there are teachers out there who have a conscience, who have integrity, and will not continue to teach these fabrications.
Yes. If the children of today, or more of them, know about flat earth, it starts to build up, doesn't it?
Yes.
Because they're missing generations, because our research shows that there were groups, there was stuff, you could find it. It's documented as documents on the internet now. But in the 90s, it all disappeared.
Right.
There's 2 generations missing. And someone said the other day on a hangout, well, this new flat earth, it's a bit like, yeah, I suppose it is, because they've now missed 2 generations out, and so they don't know about flat earth at all. They just don't know. Whereas 20, 30 years ago, people did still know. And also, we might be the minority that believes in a globe, because all the sort of native people don't believe in a globe. So then there's millions of them. It's a Western thing, isn't it? You know, what we call Western.
It's really, you know, about tradition. You know, we're coming up on the holidays. Black Friday is coming up. They put Christmas stuff up, you know, or Halloween stuff up in August. You know, so you know what I mean?
So, the moment Christmas is down, Valentine's Day will be up. And the moment Valentine's Day is down, Easter will be up.
Exactly. You know, so this country, particularly America, is built on tradition. And so if we can try to break out of that tradition and just assume that, you know, every year is going to be Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, 4th of July, it's kind of like a circle. You know, now we're having remakes of movies and TV shows that were out 20 or 30 years ago. Why do we have to remake Magnum PI? Who gives a rip about Magnum PI? The best Magnum PI was clearly back in the day with Tom Selleck. You know, why do we have to remake MacGyver? You know, we don't have to remake and continue to go through this cycle of tradition. Let's break out of that tradition. Let's break out of the cycle, break out of the matrix, and create a new reality for ourselves. You know, let's create new memories. Let's create a new history. And if that means having to reclaim America to start, let's do it. And then we'll traverse up to the north and possibly find more land where we can create new memories. But it has to start at this conference, for example, again, I bring it back. This conference is going to be a great platform for newcomers, for the press to be able to decipher what about Flat Earth and the conference they want to share with their particular city, you know, because we're going to have, you know, a lot of mainstream news coming through and interviewing, you know, me, Mark Sargent, Patricia Steer, and so on. And so we got to be at our top game. And we got to share with the public that Flat Earth is not a disk floating in outer space. You know.
Yes, but we still don't know a lot yet, though, do we, for sure? We still don't know enough. So that's why we can still all come together, because nobody knows everything for sure.
Right. And speculation is fun.
We're not moving and we are on a plane. But I mean, what shape we are, how far away the sun is, these things we're nobody's sure of yet quite.
Right.
And speculation is fun. You know, it's great to come together as like-minded people and speculate. And we can do that. But, you know, unfortunately, we have to kind of put a disclaimer at the beginning of most of our talks, maybe, or our questions that we're getting from mainstream, and say, hey, you know, this is just my opinion. This may or may not be true, right? Because otherwise they'll just twist our words.
Right. I agree with you on that. Back now. Yeah. What I was going to say, too, is I think sometimes when people are on a quest, when they want to know something, like people know something so bad that they'll just go along with anything. You know what I mean? Like, I'm okay with it without, I don't have to know everything. And I realize that the longer I live, the more I realize I don't know anything at all, really. But I think with science, and I like science, I think it's fantastic. But I think when you feel that you need an answer for everything, even for the things that you can't prove, that's where I think the problem lies. And they've done a lot of good stuff, but I think when it comes to like the celestial bodies and other things like that, I don't think they have a clue of what's really going on. And so they just work with whatever they like. They made something, somehow they made things work in regards to, okay, this is how we're able to predict certain things. But just because you can do that doesn't necessarily mean that's what it is.
Well, it's all, you know, we have come to an acknowledgement, right, that it's all based on presuppositions. You know, you enter into this matrix with the presupposition that you live in a ball spinning in outer space. You know, so if all of the maths that has been created in the past is built on the globe deception, then yes, everything is going to prove out mathematically that we live, yes, on a ball. And it is just fascinating how the Earth's curvature calculation, when we use it against them, is so it's so closely related to a flat plane, right? I mean, because the atmosphere and the horizon meeting with each other in the distance, depending upon, you know, atmospheric pressure, dust, wind, and so on, that is, you know, 10, 15, 20 miles away from you, globe people will kind of say, well, it should do that. It should do that. It should equal out to that. And it's like, well, yes, of course, but it's built on a presupposition in the first place that we live on a ball. And that's not fair. Get rid of that. Let us be born in a society that has neither, right? Let's just say it has neither. We don't believe it's a plane, an infinite plane, and we don't believe that it's a globe. We're just born into this reality. Why do you have to tell me? Why do I have to go through a class for you to teach me where I live?
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
You know, why is it so important? You know, and that's another thing, you know, goes back to what you were saying before, Stephen. You know, why does it matter? Well, it matters because we're being born into a reality that has a presupposition we live on a ball. You know, so why are they why are they teaching us over and over again? Why am I seeing it before my movies? Why am I seeing it here? Why do I have to see a globe when I enter my bank? You know, right, all glassed out, and they paid $10,000 for the sculptor to make this globe Earth, right?
Right. You know what?
So
I think they just don't know anything.
Because they have.
Right.
Well,
I don't think they know.
That might be true. That might be true. You know, for sure. And I'll accept a level of ignorance on their part because, We all had that too, right?
Right. Yeah. I just like I said, with me, I just never believed things, but I just think nobody knew, because I always felt like to me as a kid, I was always like, well, how do you know that? You know what I mean? And it wasn't that, because I mean, if somebody would have gave me a good enough answer that I would have believed, and probably sure I would have. But like I said, I was just like, I just don't believe it. And sometimes when people, like with my kids, you know, I don't ever tell them, I never told them any lies, and I'll give them my opinion because I don't want just to give them bullshit, just to give them an answer. You know what I mean? And I think it's okay to say you don't know. And a lot of people, for some reason, feel that they have to have an answer, and that's why they just come up with anything.
Yes.
What do you think in regards to? Because I know, as a kid, I always thought that Earth was infinite, and I don't use that anymore. The reason why is because I hate saying things that I can't prove. So whether I say the plane is infinite, or if Globers say the universe is infinite, you can't, that infinite, you can't prove infinite. You know what I mean? So I don't, even though that's kind of what I would agree with, that the plane is infinite more, I really don't use it as much, just because there's no way you could prove or disprove that. But so let's say if it is infinite, do you think as the sun is traveling around us within this 24-hour days, are you saying that, would you say that the rest of the plane then is not doesn't have any light, or do you think there's other suns or something beyond where the sun is traveling now?
Well, you know, you wouldn't ever be able to prove whether it's infinite or not, right?
Right, exactly.
So
that's why I hate using it.
Right, yeah, and I use it because of my belief, really, my faith, that I have in an infinitely wise, all-knowing, whatever being, So I feel like he would have created an infinite plane for everybody to take domain over. Now, if you read Genesis 1, it talks about there is a difference between daylight and sunlight. And so I feel like our creator could illuminate the entire infinite plane, without a localized light source. You know what I mean?
Because he said, like, let there be light, but then the sun was created like a few days later, right?
Yeah, it was created 4 days later.
Right. Or whatever. Okay, so yeah, I got you.
So yes, and so now we can speculate, and I can throw at you and say, well, what if we were taken from one area to another, and what we see above us is an artificial light source that they have mastered? Because if China is able to create that will illuminate this particular China in 2020, how were they testing that? Where were they able to test a massive scale, so that then on mainstream news and say, yeah, we're going to get rid of all of the street lights and create an illuminated light source during the night? I mean, that's kind of, first off, you think like that's kind of first world problems. I mean, give me a break. Secondly, that's creating an enemy that doesn't exist, global warming, as if to say electricity and resources are finite and we're going to run out. So we need to throw some light in the sky. And thirdly, how does this light source stay up in the sky? And how, if the Earth is spinning, how is it geostationary? Because it has to be a certain distance away for it to, quote, gravitate around the Earth like the moon is, right? Like it's in the Goldilocks zone. So how were they able to launch this moon to be in the Goldilocks zone? And so when you realize that outer space is fake, then that kind of just goes out the window. But it has crossed my mind that we were, as a human race, transported from one area to another, like where we're at right now. And yes, we have a light source above us that is much like a Truman Show thing. And I've expanded on that. Am I married to that idea? No, I'm not. I do feel like we belong here, and I think we will have more answers if we were to go to the North Pole. We would be able to have kind of like, a Lord of the Rings type of experience, right? And really see and experience why our compasses all point north. Is it because our creator is up there, or is it because the nefarious elite who have taken over the earth are up there doing all of their crazy seances?
Right.
But I mean, that's kind of as far as I've went. And I've, you know, the multiple pawns theory, you know, kind of idea where, you know, and I've explained this too. You know, I have no problem bringing up the different concepts of flat Earth. When I have done activism, I say, okay, let's say that there is an ice wall. Okay, I'll humor that. Climb up 200, 300-foot ice wall, right? That was allegedly shown in Game of Thrones, and also the first episode of Lost in Space on Netflix. They had an ice wall. So if we traverse above it or go through it, could we find another body of water or a shoreline or something like that? And then there's more land, and then there's another artificial light source. Yeah, there could be. I don't know what the military-industrial complex is capable of in that regard, but I do know that they can use voice-to-skull technology and implant thoughts and sound into your brain that nobody else can hear. You know, so it is great to speculate on those ideas. We know but I do try to just say, hey, you know, this is just my opinion. This is one when I'm alone thinking about flat Earth. One thing I think that is still kind of number one on my list, and I'll be candid about this. I think most people understand where I'm coming from on this, is the Project Bluebeam idea. That there is a particular race of human beings that has been genetically modified outside of what we are capable of traveling to, or maybe they have been they put them on this, you know, land, and they're kind of waiting for their disclosure. That is like the David Wilcock, Corey Good community, the disclosure community. But I'll tell you what, I don't think disclosure is an alien race or anything like that. I still think disclosure is flat Earth, and I think we're living in it right now.
Cool. So how long do you follow the concept that Earth's been around for 6,000 years, or are you thinking a little bit longer?
I'm not gonna, you know, argue with anybody about 6,000 to 10,000 years. Yeah, I don't think it's any older than. I think the evidence that I have come across, you know, evidence, right? YouTube videos and Google. But, you know, go to your local library. You know, I hear some people I have come across on my activism, students at the U, go to, go to the library instead of always on YouTube. It's like, give me a break. Like, I can't go to the library because they're book burning, you know, and whatever it is that they do put on Google is what they want on Google. Otherwise, you know, that information is lost. So, you know, like I had said earlier, Kent Hovind, Ken Ham, you know, the creation, it is, yes, leaning more towards the biblical aspect and idea. But I was very captivated by that evidence. Also, a guy named who found Noah's Ark and Sodom and Gomorrah. That is still provocative enough information where that's my theory, and nobody's ever presented enough to show me otherwise. So
I think it's good that you have your own thoughts, because I know Hovind, I don't think he agrees with flat Earth at all.
Oh, he's much against it. I am very interested. I don't know much about Rob Sungenis, who's going to debate Rob Skiba at the conference. So I am interested to hear his thoughts.
Yeah, so James is he's a geocentric where he says everything revolves around the Earth. Was definitely better than the heliocentric model, that's for sure. The reason why I was asking how long you think, because whether it's 6,000 or millions, like, it's hard for me to believe. Well, because I always say we were always here, but then if you ask me how long was that, then I really wouldn't have an answer if I was just to say we've always been here. But I was just thinking about how I don't want to say stupid, but I'll just use that right now. It seems like in the last maybe few hundred years and stuff like that, we developed cars and technology and different things that we use on an everyday basis now. And it seems like if we were around for millions of years, and all of a sudden in these last, I'm interested to know how all of a sudden we came up with all this stuff now, and we're dumbed down. If we were around for so long, how we didn't have all this stuff before.
Correct.
Yeah, it seems like we didn't really advance. Like we were like really slow, and then all of a sudden, we just knew a whole bunch of stuff really quick. That was always a question I had.
Yeah, the thought I get a lot from global believers is, and it's an insult, of course. You're sending us back to the Stone Age by believing in flat Earth.
Yeah, that's kind of
And
stupid.
those are incredibly ignorant people to reality. They think that nobody would ever lie to them, and everything that's given to them through mainstream and our education is true. And we as flat earthers, we at the tip of the beak, we are front lines here. We know that history is a lie agreed upon. And so when we get to that understanding, we know that our whole history should be in question. And people who have beliefs and faiths in certain things, at least flat earthers can admit when they have a faith-based idea and a thought life that kind of lines up with a particular holy book, for example.
Sure.
But the people who say that we will go back to the Stone Age, their holy book is science, the science books that you get. That just to kind of digress, nobody who goes to school should ever have to pay for their school books. That is asinine. You should never have to come out of your own pocket and pay $500 for a book that's going to be obsolete when you graduate. That's not fair. They're continually coming up with new science books all the time. Well, how long has the concept, at least the foundation of what the Bible represents and delivers, how long has that been around? And what I mean by that is the gospel message hasn't changed. God manifested himself as flesh on earth, lived a perfect life, and because of his perfect life, brought testimony against those who thought they had a relationship with God. Those people crucified him. He died, rose from the dead 3 days later, and that's where I put my faith in. So that gospel message is still there. Yes, the NIV, the NASB, so on and so on. There are different translations, but the essence of the Bible hasn't changed. Now, the essence of science has changed. They are continually updating it. They are continually saying that this thing is further away or closer than what we thought it was. And their excuse always is, well, we just got new evidence. Well, that's asinine, because if you can continually change these stories to go from this way to this way, where is there truth again in this? Like, where is your foundation? Oh, it's built on man's imagination.
Right. That's all it really is. And then I hate the term, what's the word I'm thinking of? You guys know what I'm talking about. Scientific truth. What's the word? It's true. It's true in science. Anyway, but like in science, like you said, you can always change it around, and it's always right no matter what. I do think that's kind of silly.
Yeah.
Or a scientific fact.
Yeah. What is this? What is the scientific fact? And scientific fact is really what we got. What was it, 6 months ago, when YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook were doing that committee meeting or something, whatever it is, what they were doing, when YouTube just basically blatantly said that, we will demote unauthoritative content like flat earth and promote authoritative content like whatever mainstream science, education, and the news promote.
Yeah. And it's funny, and I hate to say that, that's one of those moments where I almost felt that, almost wish the government, I guess at this point, someone would have their own platform that everybody can use. Because how there's freedom of speech and things like that. But like you said, on these platforms, we don't have that. So that's one of those moments where it's like, okay, these waves are available to the people, or this internet's available to the people, and they're able to say what they want to, because like I say, YouTube and whether you liked Alex Jones or not, I thought that he had a right to say what he wanted to say, and then for everybody to deplatform him, if I thought was jacked up.
Well, you could take it from two different perspectives. You could look at it and say that was always planned. He was always planned to be deplatformed, and what are you going to do about it? Right? I mean, what are you going to do about it? You going to complain? You going to rise up against us? No, you're not. You're going to accept it for what it is. And the other part of it is, yes, free speech will always be hate speech to those who hate the truth. And when you express your First Amendment right, even on a private platform, you are delivering a testimony against those who built the foundation of what you're testifying against. So you're holding those people accountable and you're putting them in check. And these people who want to control everything don't want to be put in check. They want to freely go around and do what they want. And when you have people like us who are activists in whatever shape or form that it is that you do, then it comes out. Like, there has to be a boiling over point. Me, for example, I have never had too much censorship. My channel's never gotten a copyright strike or anything where I've lost the ability to convey my message. But I do notice that my views and my sub counts are throttled. How can I have thousands of new people come to my channel, and in the last 40 days or so, I've gotten 80 new subscribers? So it just kind of, maybe there is a tier where YouTube channels have to get to, where 3,000 subs or 4,000 subs is kind of a tier point where the AI recognizes your popularity and more comments start coming your way to try to dissuade new people coming to the topic.
I agree with you, because people in the chat room suddenly noticed like all the likes disappeared off the posts. Said, well, when I was there's this many, likes, and now they've all gone. And yeah, I think they mess around with certain groups. I just do.
Maybe I'll go like it again. But and it's interesting because I talk about these platforms just because, like, for example, I haven't had other than the internet, I deal with Time Warner Cable for my internet, but I haven't had actual cable in like years, right? I haven't read the newspaper in years. And so every now and then I'll look at my phone for something, but I'm not on my phone that long. So if it wasn't for this platform, I probably wouldn't have known of this movement. I mean, even though my friend told me about it. So you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, we have this, cool platform where we can pick up things, but without it, probably none of us would be here talking about this, because then everybody would have to, it'd be more grassroots. And I think that would have been a lot harder to push without the internet.
Correct. I totally agree. And just to kind of springboard off of that thought, I have gotten from I'll just use one flat earther as an example, kind of got flamed about my delivery of flat earth, saying this person said, I watched 3 or 4 flat earth videos. I woke up. I don't think it's your responsibility to go out and talk to the public about flat earth. It's up to them. Mm-hmm. Why do you care so much? Why is it such a big deal to you? Me personally, I didn't wake up through somebody coming up to me and handing me a leaflet. I woke up through, I don't even remember what video I was watching, and then it went to recommended, so that it auto played another video right after the one that had ended, and it was Eric Dubé's 200 Proofs. So yes, YouTube definitely got me. Look at where it got me, right? Flat Earth. I'm crazy flat Earth guy, right? Sure. But I think that delivering a message, whatever it is, when you talk to people face to face, I just feel like it just has more effectiveness. I am very blessed with what appears to be younger looks. This is just the vessel that I have. So I have a very disarming smile, and I convey flat Earth in a way that people of the community invest behind. And so I'm very blessed to be policed by the community and encouraged also. And I just hope that that helps other people who are new to the topic be able to hone in on what they're here to do also. Because with flat Earth and this truth, there's just no way that you can just hold it in. You know what I mean? Like, it just boils over to a point where you're just like, I gotta say something, right?
I hear you.
Yeah. And so, you know, what I've been doing over the last couple of weeks or so is just, you know, trying to get my own personal life together. I know that here in Minnesota, it is difficult to have conversations, lengthy conversations with people when it's, you know, 40 degrees out.
Right. I was going to ask
And
you that
so,
too.
yeah,
Do you have meetups out there or no?
we do. We have a meetup, you know, so get your pen and paper out if you live in the Midwest area. We'll have a meetup November 11th, this Saturday at 2 o'clock, Godfather's Pizza, Albert
Uh-oh.
Lee, Minnesota. So check that out. So yeah, we'll have that meetup, and I was doing meetups at where else would you have a meetup in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota? Flat Earth Brewery. So we had a we had a brewery, and so I thought it was, you know, interesting to do that there. But then, you know, some people don't drink. You know, they don't want to convey and uh, you know, go to an establishment like that. So I saw somebody set up a meetup at this pizza place in Albert Lee, Minnesota. It's probably about an hour or so away from, you know, downtown Minneapolis. So it is kind of a trek. So if you're carpooling or something, it is definitely recommended to do so. But you know, the turnouts for some of them are just kind of like gatherings and whatnot. Is there anything really productive being done at the meetups that we did here? Just you know, talking amongst other like-minded people. I think that flat Earth activism, street, you know, activism is kind of like the top level. Like I think the way that that type of communication is very intimidating for a lot of people. If you want to come out and do activism, you know, with me or with somebody else who is willing to do it, you know, you can hand out some pamphlets or something, and you don't really have to engage too much with the public. And I hope to do some of that, hopefully, at the conference. But I think a majority of the people who kind of came to the meetups were very kind of just, they just wanted to meet other people that were doing activism wasn't on the forefront of their minds.
Yeah,
But
I
it
think
is
that's
to
what.
me.
Yeah, I agree with you. Because I know in LA out here when we have them, they're. I think a lot of people are. It's just nice for people to meet other people that have the same point of view as they do. In Denver, I was going to say, I know you guys will probably be busy, but if you can, downtown Denver, the 16th Street Mall is a great place to do activism and different things like that because there's a lot of foot traffic. And in downtown Denver, they call it the 16th Street Mall. They have like a little, they have buses down there. They're free to get on, and it goes straight up and down the mall. So just imagine an outdoor mall, but you can catch a bus and get off at the next stop and go to another store or what have you. So you can ride on these buses for free and get right off on 16th Street and do activism down there. Because there's all kinds of stuff going on down there. So that might be
Okay,
something to do too.
yeah, I'll keep that in mind. You know, and I'm not sure what the day will bring. I'm bringing my lab coat and my periodic table bow tie for sure, so we can definitely try to do some, you know, activism in that regard. I think that'll be really fun. But I would say, you know, closet flat earthers. I think a majority of the people who are flat earth are closet flat earthers, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I
Sure.
think that if that's where you're at right now, by all means. Um, I also think that those people are ones to support other flat earthers like myself. I have an unbelievable quote, following, or, people who enjoy listening to me talk, and, who doesn't like to listen to themselves talk, right? So if you can, be able to share financially. I have a bunch of paraphernalia that I've gotten recently from subscribers. Flat Earth Vegans have sent me some shirts, and they're planning on bringing some Authentic Intent t-shirts to the conference. So you'll be able to get your own Authentic Intent t-shirt, which I'll be handing out for free. Have it. Share the message. For me, this message is truth. Yes, I don't want to charge money for it, but the only reason why I have donation links on my YouTube channel is because when I first started, people were like, hey, man, I want to donate, and I want to help you pay for your gas or buy you a meal, because they understand that this is missions work. This is my missions field, and I have a passion for it, and I think a lot of people like to live vicariously through activists on camera.
Right. Like you said, if they're helping the cause, that's their way of contributing to it.
Can I just say that we've been going for 3.5 hours now, and it's midnight here.
Uh-oh. There we
I probably need to wind down, like we need to sort of finish soon. I'm really sorry, Josh, because you're going for it.
Yeah, it's only 6:30 here, so.
Yeah, 4:30 where I'm at. So, but yeah, Karen, I love you. But who doesn't love you?
Love you too, Steve.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Karen, for just having this platform for, all different types of people to come in and share their thought life and what they think. And, not a lot of people agree with everything that I have to say, but, take what you like, throw it away, what you don't like, and use it for your own. We're all here. Iron sharpens iron. I think that if we, as a community, can just stick to the facts and stick to what we can all see together, and that just goes on to not only flat Earth and water, but also chemtrails. I mean, we can all see the difference between a chemtrail and a contrail. It's only those who willfully want to remain ignorant in that topic who, can't see the difference between the two. And if you look at what they did in Vietnam and Agent Orange, that should give you an idea that the military-industrial complex is no respecter of people. They will just do it to whoever they want to, whenever they want to, and they don't care who it hurts and what happens. And that is obviously evident by cigarettes, asbestos companies, and currently right now what we're dealing with GMOs. Before, I totally respect vegans. I understand your message and why you are vegans. I will hold your hand. I will hug you. Let's do it. But if you're a vegan and you're only eating fruits, vegetables, and non-meat products, where are you getting your products from? Are they chemtrailed? Are they GMO'd? How are they being produced? Because unless you have your own greenhouse and you have your own sprinkler system that's using distilled water, right? And what kind of soil are you using? Is your soil nutritious? Is it full of the nutrients that is needed to grow beautiful, ripe tomatoes that are nutritious? Because clearly what we're seeing in even farmers markets right now, a lot of the food is being run by GMO type companies like Monsanto, and that food has no nutritional value. So people are going to have to overeat, right? So you continue to have to eat because the food that you're eating initially has no nutritional value. I should be able to eat one meal and not feel hungry 2 hours later. That's all I'm saying. Right. And I eat a lot of rice, I mean, pretty much I eat rice every day. And
what's even worse is you don't even know what they put in it. The meat, the hormones, the whatever it is, antibiotics, all these things they're injecting the animals with.
Exactly.
Right. Do we? Because we know they inject them with stuff that puffs it up, and none of this can be very good for us.
Right. And, I'll just close with this and, maybe close up with another thought here too. But, just to close up with the whole veganism idea, if we were able to have sustainable meat and be able to produce milk and so on in a respectful manner, that's why a lot of people pray over their food, right? So if you do feel like you have questions about the integrity of the food that you're eating, whether it be vegan or not, soy has a lot of GMO in it. You find me a strand of corn that's not GMO. I dare you. You find me corn that is not GMO right now. All of it is GMOs. And so as much as you might be touting veganism and so on, check your facts also, because you also need to make sure that that food has no pesticides and various other things that would dismantle a human being's essence about themselves, right? Because we are being conditioned. It's almost like the human body is being terraformed as much as the sky is being terraformed along with the earth. So
trying to do the same to us, man. They're trying to do the same to us.
Yep. Yeah. So again, with the conference, I can't wait to meet everybody. It is going to be an overwhelming experience. I'll probably cry. I'll be a big baby, but I'll just be so overwhelmed with emotion of meeting everybody. And I really hope that it will springboard the youth into taking this seriously. Having all these people together because it's important. We have a authentic intent. Really, we all have authentic intent. We are all flat earthers because we had the work put in. We put in the work. We put in the work. We may have watched the YouTube video or something, but we put in the work afterwards, after our thought was provoked. And we didn't idle on it. We weren't procrastinators. And you meet a flat earther because they put in the work. And I'm not going to put in the work for you. I'm not going to sit here and talk to a person who believes in the globe and have them ask me question after question after question and give them answers and have them not do any work for themselves. You need to stop some people sometimes and be like, hey, you know what? That's a great question. You should go look that up yourself.
Right. I agree.
So even though flat earthers are know-it-alls, right? we do know quite a bit, but we don't know everything. And that's the great thing about flat earthers is we are humble. And if you meet a genuine flat earther and they're capable of saying, I don't know, stick with them, pick their brain a little bit more. So.
Yeah, well, it's been great meeting you today. And I'm hoping in the future after the Denver meet that you come back on. I think this one, by the way, the Denver meet, it's about a load of people that are having a good time and all the information. And this time, hopefully, it goes out much more in the press. So it goes out and out and out. And this is like the beginning of the bigger side of Flat Earth, because I think a lot of us would like something to happen. Like you say, though, there's always, if we stopped eating meat, then we've got another problem. We could have loads of problems if everything changes. But at least it's, on the way, the right track and everything. But thank you to Flat Earth Dude. Thank you to DITRH. Thank you to Horry who popped on. And Caroline. Thank you to Patricia. I don't know if she's there. Patricia, put your microphone on if you're still there. And thank you, Steve. And thank you so much, Josh, Authentic Intent.
Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Apologies for not being able to say hi, but sometimes, that even is a distraction. And I just wanted to help convey my heart. And I'm so excited. I'm so happy to be a part of this community. And thank you so much.
Hey, and excuse me, also a big thank you to our chat room. A lot of people have sat in and, been there for a lot of this hangout. So to everybody in the chat room. And what's the day? Tuesday. Yeah, we're back on Thursday. So again, thank you so much. And I hope you have a really great time at Denver. Authentic Intent, we usually say goodbye off air. So we'll say goodbye on air.
Cheers.